Ladies and gentlemen, Beacon Duo League fans across the world, welcome to the postseason. We're going to kick things off with promo relegation today. We've got 4 hours of matches ahead of us and only one spot to be maintained in Division 1 for next season. To do that, we have 6 teams fighting it out, 2 from Division 1, 4 hopefuls from Division 2, and alongside me, I have 2 hopefuls on the broadcast desk as well with me. Welcome to both Boney and Legion. Staples of this season, guys. How excited are you for today? Starting with you, Boney.
I'm looking forward to it, man. It's always that build up, right? We see the movements happening throughout the last couple of weeks, and some had ups, some had downs, definitely some on top. And I mean, for this moment in time, right? It's just, I don't know. I'm looking forward to seeing those hopefuls from Division 2 trying to make it into Division 1, get that one spot, and obviously the Division 1 teams in here ready to defend. I'm psyched.
Yeah, and Legion, look, it's been a long season. We've had 3 weeks of league matches. Before that, a qualifier stage. I'm thinking some of these Division 2 teams are going to want to get payback on these Division 1 teams. You know, they thought that was their rightful spot. Which way do you see it going today?
I think we might. I was actually checking the bracket just throughout the sort of open qualifier or whatever it was. I noticed that out of all the teams that went into that first round of what was losers bracket, the only team that's still in is actually LGB. I can't remember exactly who they lost to, but having them be the only team who has still survived. Yes, it is Division 2, but still survival is survival. I think they might be the team to look for.
Yeah, absolutely. LGB obviously had a strong season and ending it in that second seed from Division 2. We do have to mention Puff Bros unfortunately had to give away their spot in the promo relegation bracket, I believe because of some scheduling issues. But nonetheless, that means that Damascus Gaming were promoted into this stage, something that Randomize, who we'll talk to a little bit later, is going to be very, very happy about. Let's take a look at that Division 2 table, how it ended up at the end of the league phase. Obviously, at the top of the board, 5W. Boney, how threatening are they going to be in this bracket?
Oh, immensely. I think the attitude that they have brought coming into this competition is vital to their results. You can see it in the interviews, right, that we had on just now. Also last week with Jan coming on, they're just brimming with confidence, and that is essential when it comes to driving these tracks, right? It's not just a matter of surviving them. We've seen how brutal these can be at times, but they just drive. They have that confidence. They dare to go for it, and I mean, that is the attitude you need to have if you want to get a spot in Division 1.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, only one of those spots to come. Legion, just before we have a look at the bracket, I want to mention Damascus Gaming because they've been given a lifeline, a second chance in this stage. We saw how disappointed Charles was to miss out on promo relegation, but it's happening. They are here. Do they have a shot?
I think this might be... it's not entirely out of the question, but I do think this might be the lifeline. Because you see how close it was, especially against Molotov. They were right there. So I think that while they have a shot, it's not a guarantee, but they can become a problem if they're sort of left unchecked.
Yeah, absolutely. Not a duo to underestimate, Charles and Exotica. Well, let's look at who they will be facing because they are going up against 5W. Of course, the Division 1 team starting in that upper final and the Division 2 teams having to fight their way to get a chance at Division 1. These first 2 matchups, 5W against Damascus Gaming, going to be a very difficult one for Damascus Gaming, but looking forward to seeing how that one plays out. And on the mainstream, we will be covering Leed Baton against Molotov Gaming. An international affair, I have to say. But, you know, let's focus first of all on Orcs GP versus Thrive, because we're going to be looking at this lower bracket run from these 4 teams. Boney, maybe just starting with you, you know, because we've seen both of these teams have had different trajectories through Division 1. Is either of these more fancy than the other?
I mean, I would say somewhat hard to say. I mean, with Thrive specifically, right, unable to play those last couple of matches, pretty much relegating themselves in that regard. It does feel like there's a lot more to offer from there. Obviously, Orcs GP Numa Wops, right? You've got Boss Bezentween, just star-studded cast, but haven't really been able to get the synergy going as much as I was hoping for players of their caliber. So it is very much two different types of flavors, right? Two different ways of the way things went for them. I mean, Division 1 is cutthroat, right? There is no two ways about it. But regardless of that, I do feel like in a situation where Thriven, would have been available on week 3, maybe the reality of things would have looked different. But for now, they've pretty much put themselves in this position. Whereas with Orchid and Numawaps, it's more just a result of how their matches went.
Yeah, absolutely. Those Div 1 teams definitely should not be underestimated, despite being on that downward curve. But let's look at our matchup of today. Our one to kick it off, it is going to be Leed Baton against Molotov Gaming, the French pairing of Novu and Vortax facing off against Piranha and Huso. And I feel like this one is maybe a tale of two halves. Sort of Piranha and Huso were quick out of the gates. They were our league leaders after week 1. Novu and Vortax, more of a gradual progression through the season. Boney, do you have a favorite in this match? And if so, do you think that the winner of this match can go on to challenge for that Div 1 spot?
I personally definitely am just a fan of Molotov Gaming in and of itself, so I do have that bias of sorts, right? But that does take away from what Nova and Vortex have been able to put down. Bit of a shame to see Molotov on a downward spiral, but even then, just going back on that second part, where I would love to see Molotov taking it, I am somewhat hard-pressed based on the trajectory of things, if they would be able to make that run through. It is a tough run to get through. You're starting from the bottom, right? You've got 4 matches to play to make it all happen. I don't know if the stamina is there. Despite that, I'm still hoping.
And Legion, I think one thing that we should mention before any of these matches kick off is that unlike the league phase, we are going to be playing in a best of 5 format. So we do have a pick phase to run through. Maybe some of these teams coming into it, we were speaking about it at the end of the league phase, coming into this, practicing some maps maybe more than others, having a bit more strategy going into the map pack in the postseason. Do you think that that's something that's going to play a key role here?
Absolutely. In games like this, and it's not just here we see in TM, but even in other competitive games where you do have pick and ban phases, teams will configure that to what are their strengths. So with the amount of time that these teams have been able to put into these tracks, both in practice and in competition, I do genuinely think that we will probably be seeing some pretty close games and close series. I don't think we'll see things in the past where it's a complete blowout, but I mean, 3-0s can happen, but I think it'll be a lot less likely than at least I predict.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight affair, and you know what? It might be a tight affair throughout the day, but this is the first step towards that Division 1 spot for these Division 2 teams. Of course, we're going to be covering Leed Baton against Molotov Gaming. The other quarterfinal, lower quarterfinal, will be covered on G-Geek Stream. But for now, guys, it's time for you to get out of here. You've got a match to cast, so Boney and Legion, I'll see you in a bit. Take it away.
Right, we got a match almost ready and waiting. I mean, players already on server. I'm looking forward to seeing what the picks and bans will be. The idea, right, it's going to be a best of 5 now instead of just playing up to 5. So all of a sudden, one of the things that we saw, not necessarily with these teams, but we did see with Orchid and Nuwav, just not playing Mander, right? Mander was just one they really don't want to play. Please keep it away from us. Didn't work in league play, but now you can. Now you can definitely do that.
Yeah, we'll see how everybody sort of handles this new exciting little bit of format change. So into the pick and ban, Vortex is picking first for LGB, and then it'll be Molotov and LGB again, and then a random map, and then another random map for a decider. But we will we'll see. What do you predict? Actually, we can't predict because it's going to be Mander for the first shot. So for pick 2, what do you think, Boney?
I mean, I know in the case of them, I think Orbit will probably be one that they would be looking forward to. I don't think Skelear necessarily is going to be one that they will want to actively have as one of their first maps. Outside of that, maybe Trill. I would put it between Orbit and Thriller. Don't see Marabella. I mean, Marabella, maybe. the reason why I'm saying this is the slippy nature of things, and that's there you go. Marabella actually coming in. I know Huso is a big fan of the wet wheels, wet plastic, wet wood, right? Types where you can like drift around and such. And so I do understand with Marabella. I mean, that start right, already a big contender. Though, not sure if it's gonna pay out as much as they would like.
Okay, so it'll be Orbit being picked third, and then it looks like we'll go Thriller. Skelear could be the decider, so we could be seeing a decisive match on a map that has seemed to divide people a little bit. That's going to be exciting.
Definitely. I mean, it's just such a hard map in and of itself, right? Due to its precision that is required for it, but even with the precision on point, it is very much that that ending that makes such a big difference in many situations. But it does look like we are about ready. We'll kick things off on Leed Baton's pick. It is going to be Mander.
They watch, you slip, you phone, all this, who cares, move it, you know how we do this. You know how we do this. Hands up, shooting, you lights, shooting.
First two teams are out, which means one of these guys is going to be going home when all is said and done here on Mander. Leed Baton and Molotov Gaming fighting for a spot into the lower semi-finals here for the promo relegation. So we'll see who has it in them to go all the way. And right now, well, it is the unfortunate reality for Piranha that he has to hold off both LGB players because of Huso's mistake right at the start. But if it's Molotov's, or if it's not Molotov's pick and it's LGB's pick, you can't really be surprised at a start like this.
Yeah, it was an unfortunate one, right? Huso just crashing right into the wall as he went up the wall, if you will. But, I mean, Piranha, we have seen throughout the tournament be a wall of sorts, really be a detriment to any and all teams to try and get in between him and those precious points. Piranha still keeping Novo away every single turn, but the difference is minuscule. And with the risky fin coming up, Piranha, does he slow down a bit? Yes, he does. Novo, does he have enough?
Oh,
no, he does.
My
does he?
God.
Does he?
I think he's got it. I think Piranha's got the draw. Oh,
That's a draw.
My God. Well, if you want to start it off, you might as well do it like that.
Oof. I mean, the speed was being lowered, right? You saw Piranha just slowing down a little bit over the grass, setting up for that risky, and yeah, just came down to the wire. But the wall stands, Piranha keeping his opponents away from getting an early lead. So yeah, 1-1 to kick things off, and another start this time around. The onus falls on Leed Baton to do some defense, and specifically Vortex.
Yep, Nobu has had the unfortunate showing that Huso had, and to actually counterbalance that, Huso running up front right now. Vortex just get the overtake, but it is going to be a bit of a tug of war here as these two trade back and forth. But currently we are on track to get another draw, especially with Piranha making a mistake. So if Vortex holds the lead here, we'll get another draw, another point given to both teams. However, if Huso can lock in and actually overcome that 0.2 of a second deficit, we would see the first round victory. But right now he's a little shaky, very close on the inside. I don't know how he did not touch there, but Vortex should be okay. It's hard to tell with that very superior French internet, but Vortex has secured the draw. Piranha pulling up in third, and Novu. So no advantage thus far. We are still all tied up.
Yeah, Vortex having a bit of an easier time of it, right? Not being hounded down as much as we saw in the previous round with Piranha. But yeah, 2-2, and thus far, honestly, both teams showing some signs of weakness. This is LGB's pick. doesn't always say as much, right? It just means that this is a map that they'll feel most comfortable in to be able to perform. Ronaldo looks like everyone makes it out alive. Huso and Novu in a fight for first place, but Novu with a slight clip. I'm not sure what that clip was, but he lost a ton of speed right there. And he is going to be falling down by about 0.6 of a second. Huso and Piranha currently in ace formation, though it does look like with Vortex's, I mean, that internet is still doing what it needs to do. I'm not sure who is in second at this point in time, but as it slows down, as it stops, it is going to be Vortex in second.
Yep. Oh, and a big hit there, Huso. He falls behind a little bit too eager there at the chicane, so that'll put him down into last position, which does promote Novu up. Now it's Piranha on the defense, but can Vortex hold on as we head into the reactor, onto the plastic sausage? I think he is going to get it, and he will. So LGB getting the first round victory here in the match. Huso, a very costly mistake, has only made the gap a single point, but we have seen plenty of times where all a team needs is that 1 point, and they're able to just run away with it.
Oh, definitely. It's still nice to have, but at this point in time, right, 4-3, there is a lot of breeding space still for Molotov Gaming in all of this. It's really once we hit that 7-point mark is when things start to get a little bit dicey, right? There's always that threat of an ace waiting to happen, waiting to occur. On a map like Mander, though, it is very much that first half that can be crucial, and that is exactly where Molotov Gaming at the moment is dropping the ball. Huso is somewhat close still to try and contest Vortex for the third place, but he has made it awfully difficult for himself with that. Because with the second half, honestly, all players right now, all four have been doing a great job, and it's really been minuscule differences between the two teams.
Yeah, it's first match of the day, though, so I'm not really too surprised that they might be a little bit off kilt. We usually see a lot of teams come alive as the day progresses, and this might just be, you know, the morning kind of getting worn off as Vortex, huge nose slide. They were on for the ace, but I guess they're going to have to... Oh, actually, hold on. Huso misses, which does give LGB the ace. So they were on for the ace, off for the ace. Huso throwing it away. So LGB now gains 4 points, and we're at that 7-point part, just like you said.
Yeah, it's getting awfully scary now. I mean, a 1-point gap in and of itself, definitely something you can overcome, but that doesn't mean you can't just sit down and take it easy. That ace is always possible. It's always ready to come into play, and LGB is getting all of the advantage out of it. The start, though, does look like they are going to be down one player, Novu, at the moment, the only one keeping track with Huso and Piranha. Vortex behind by about a full second, but Molotov Gaming still looking for that consistency, right? It's really important to be there together. Yes, it's nice to have one player out in front to make sure that you have some defense going, but we are way past the point of defense. It's all about offense right now, and Molotov Gaming, if there's ever a way to get back into it, is keeping this pace and keeping Novu away in each and every one of these turns. Novu with a clean grass line. Get the speed!
Ooh.
Oh, unable to convert it into the dirt, but he is in the middle now.
I was about to say, it puts him right where he needs to be, and he does get the overtake, but he can still mess up. He gets the drift inside line for Piranha, and all it's going to really be is if Novu completely bottles the end, but he will not. So he saves the skins. Oh, boy. Uh-oh. Huso and Vortex? Okay, all right.
Yeah.
We're having some issues. Let's see if they're... Oh, okay, we're not even going to let him get to the line.
No.
Yeah, for Molotov, we saw the almost the same thing happen. They had the ace and then they lost it. They could have had it, but unfortunately time was not on their side. So 3 points being tossed into the bin, a desperate 3 points, mind you, that would have made this a lot closer. But at least for LGB, they have a couple of ways that they can win. They got obviously the ace if you really want to just go for the throat punch, but as long as you can get a round victory, then this match will be over.
Yeah, even 2 victories right now for Molotov Gaming doesn't really help them out as much. They have built up as much of a lead as possible. So even with Novu's crash, and you can see he's down by about 14 seconds already, it's all about Vortex staying in there. If he keeps his momentum, if he keeps his pace, it's really just consistency. He doesn't even need to drive fast, right? He's just driving the pace he is used to, and all Huso at the moment can do is just look on and well, hopefully get closer to Piranha. Yes, it's still going to be a victory with these positions, but that means 9-6, and 9-6, last time I checked, is a perfect situation when you're like Baton, Vortex setting up for the jump, and yeah, makes it in. 108.4 from Piranha, but yeah, they're gonna need that ace, and even then, right, an ace is still fine for LGB. They're still safe.
Yep. But if they give that ace up, then they're in a bit of a trickier spot, because now, if your opponent wins the round, it's over. They get the ace, over.
Oh, yeah.
But the best they can hope for, if they do unfortunately give up those 3 points to Molotov, the best that they can hope for, at least in terms of keeping the match going and not giving up map 1, would possibly be that draw. Yes, we'd go into overtime, and obviously, you know, some people kind of just want to get the maps over and done with, but it could change the entire face, at least of map 1, and maybe set some sort of weird precedent for the rest of this series. But yeah, they are actually right now in prime position to take map 1, because Huso, the closest driver, is about a second back.
Yeah, Piranha having a poor start, hitting the wall on the wall ride does mean that he is behind by about 7 seconds. So yeah, there's not a lot really that can happen for LGB to mess up. They could totally go safe and the A-okay just fine. I don't think they'll do that. I think they want to set a little bit of the tone right. Let Molotov Gaming know who they're dealing with, and yeah, there you go. Both players just making it for that risky fin. Getting the ace to close things out. 12-6 on their map pick, Mander, and leading 1-0.
Well, it's 1-0. Still potential of 4 games left to play here, so we'll see if Molotov can bounce back from this. Obviously not their best showing, but I can't say I'm too surprised. This was LGB's pick after all.
Yeah, Mander definitely, in terms of the start, they haven't been looking too good on that throughout the season thus far. So just a bit unfortunate, right? Also a couple of turns, even when everybody does survive, they don't look as strong on some of these turns, particularly that grass turn around the middle. But at the same time, you may as well keep it going. You may have to try it one more time on your own map pick. We move on to map number 2, Marabella. And back for map number 2, Molotov Gaming. Down 1 map, but are able to play on their own one for the time being. It's gonna be a fight, though. Again, this is a best of 5. No longer are we playing all 5 maps. No longer are we playing about points. It is one shot. If you don't make it right here, right now, you will be out of it for this promo relegation and live to fight another season. Piranha Russo, though, strong out of the gates, and Vortex currently down in the boondocks with only Novu challenging Molotov Gaming with a great plastic wall right, though. Is still not over just yet for Molotov Gaming. With a crash like that, confidence may be at an all-time low.
But we're seeing the exact same situation we saw in the first map of somebody messing up at the start, somebody messing up later, and now we're in the best possible spot to be at a draw. It just comes down to this last drift here, as Novu does leave Piranha with a little bit more speed. He's going to be a little bit more conservative on entry, though, so we will, if everything stays the way it is, we should be seeing a draw coming out. Huso, yep, he will make sure of that. So first round, Molotov's pick. Same outcome as match 1 on Mander.
Yeah, now we just need Piranha and Huso to come in first and fourth, right? So we can get into the 2-2 situation just to make sure everything is aligned beautifully. If only it was that simple, though.
I mean, whoever's writing the script needs to do a lot better than just
Yeah.
copy and pasting the first paragraph and
very.
there
Well,
it is.
they did it.
Huso. Okay, all right. Well, hold on. It's still that early mess up. We could see something change.
Oh, yeah, you had to say
Okay.
it. You had to say it.
Whoopsie.
Well.
I take full pride in my commentator curses.
See, this is how it goes, right? Every time somebody figures out the plot to a some type of TV show at episode 3, Screamer's like, oh no, they figured out the twist. Oh, we gotta rewrite real quick. That's what happened right here. That's what we're experiencing at the moment. It's gap, yeah, massive. I mean, Nova 4 attacks. Don't really see them throwing away this one too fast. Only the fragile section remaining, and yeah, no, this is looking to be an ace for LGB. Keeping control over the match, even when playing on Molotov's grounds, is looking dire.
What about the precedent in this sense, right? This is the first map pick. Yeah, it's yours. It makes sense. You're probably going to come in and, you know, throw some hands and take that map with relative ease. But going on to your opponent's pick and doing better than they would expect you has to be just the biggest letdown, because it feels like, you know, you go into it, you're like, oh, we have the advantage, we know what we're doing, you know, they're gonna be slower, and then you make these just really silly mistakes and you start losing so much ground. And especially in a format that has 10 points as the limit, it can get out of control very quickly. So for Molotov, what do you think the new order is? What's the new directive to try and bring this thing back?
It's kind of hard to say on a map such as this, right? There aren't necessarily, well, you know, too many risks you can take to get a big advantage forward, especially against a team like LGB. It is really just a matter of clearing out the heads, right? Even though there isn't a lot of time in between these rounds, but to get the refocus, they know they've picked this for a reason. They know they are feeling comfortable on a track such as this, and they need to find themselves into that position. Piranha comes out first on the final drift versus Nova, and this is definitely something that Piranha should be comfortable in, but it's gonna be a crash, a clip, and what a haymaker right there from Leed Baton, bringing home another ace, and this is hard to watch.
Yeah, they're already on map point, and we've only had, what, 3 rounds, and they're ready to close it out. So if you're Molotov and you look at the score line and you're, you know, feeling like you're speaking a little bit of Portuguese because it's a little bit of Brazil, you know, it's not going to feel good. It doesn't feel great. It feels, you know, it almost feels like all the practice is for nothing. But if Molotov wants to win this map, they can be nothing less than perfect from here on. They need to double ace to tie it at 7, and then to really just put the stamp on the envelope. They need to ace again, so they would need 9 immediate points, which, with how good LGB has been looking so far this map, and especially with last map bouncing off of that and having what effectively is breathing room in the total best of 5, like this is just not going well at all. Huso's making a mistake, so he's down and back. It's just on Piranha right now. If he can keep it together, yeah, I can let Novu through, that's okay, but if Vortex gets through at all, this could be the map over, and actually Piranha's bringing it to Novu. Does he have the overtake? Yes, he does. Okay, Piranha, how about a little bit of risk there for you to keep things interesting?
Yeah. I mean, that risk is exactly the thing that's, I think, somewhat hurting Molotov Gaming right so far, especially when you take these risks, right? When you go as narrow as possible on some of these turns, there is always that potential of, you know, accidentally clipping into something, actually, you know, getting that 1 pixel of the wall to take away all of your speed, and it's really been a situation of they are missing out on the benefits of them, right? Every single time something happens that is very much hurting them, and at that time around, Piranha able to finally get that risk to pay off. I think we'll be quite happy with that. And at the end of the day, you can't really stop doing that. You need to. You have to. Otherwise, there's really not a lot you can really get away with. And unfortunately, Piranha there with a bit of a slowdown right before the jump onto the wet plastic section does mean that Huso is left to his own devices, and with the scoreline being what it is, the positions that they are finding themselves in, Huso needs to really take everything from, you know, like well, wherever he gets his skill from, honestly, to get past Novu onto the the fragile sector with the reactor. And unfortunately, Huso does falter, succumbs to the pressure, and it is going to be a 2-0 lead for Le Leed Baton. And Molotov Gaming, they have to somehow make it work in these next 3 maps, otherwise it is over and out.
Yep, they have to just reverse sweep now. They can't lose a single map, obviously, because if they do, they're out. Then they're out. It's really over before it starts. So one thing I will say, though, seeing just how much the boys of Molotov are pushing should tell you something. That how much these players are willing to risk to get what they want. And what that is, obviously, is a victory. So hopefully Molotov can turn their luck around, and they've hopefully got the moves for it, because it's going to be Thriller.
Don't pause, press. Don't pause, press.
They say this is the one, and it might be the one for Molotov to turn their fortune around. It is map 3 here on Thriller. La Galette Baton's, pardon my French, is up 2-0 over Molotov. Yeah, they know. They're up 2-0 right now. They have the chance to clean sweep Molotov out of the playoffs and condemn them to another season in Division 2 of Beacon. But of course, Molotov, not a team to go quietly into the night. Maybe this is the ignition point for them.
Maybe. So far, the 360 proving quite favorable to Molotov Gaming. Both Brian and Huso making their way through. Oh, what do you mean? Water bounds. Oh, I don't think we've seen that one happen live yet.
No.
I know it's possible, but that is just... It just feels so bad, right? Because we've been seeing Molotov Gaming really fight for it, really go for it. And it's just these types of things, right? And it's not as if every single error hasn't been on them, right? Obviously, they make mistakes. That is the nature of it. But that right there just feels kind of mean. Just feels like, you're already down. Let me just, kick out your ankles while you're trying to make it, make the pass off happen between you and your teammate. So, yeah, LGV picking up the victory right there, despite them, getting through that first half neatly. And it's already a tough spot, right, having that no-break sector. But to enter in through the checkpoint with the water bounce, brutal.
Certified Nadeo Classic, I must say. So that's not how you want to start. You'd rather have something happen because you risked a little too much, not because of slightly incorrect trajectory. I won't blame the coding there. There's definitely some reason for that to happen. But a 2-1, not a problem. You can still overcome that. Obviously, we could have had a repeat of the last 2 maps, but of course, these drivers like to not read the script. So we'll make sure to have a meeting for next season of Beacon Duo League so we can ensure that everybody is reading the script. And Huso, again, another mistake at the water, this time not hopping up, but just going a little bit too inside. Thankfully for him, though, Piranha is still in first position. Vortex trying to chase him down, but it's actually Nova right now with a little bit more speed. Piranha is slow. That does give one of the LGB players the in for first into the quarter pipe jump. It is still Vortex leading. Novu gets the overtake, and LGB will pick up an ace. 5-1. Piranha is going to completely faceplant the finish. From bad to worse to terrible. Molotov, not the match they want.
No, I can imagine the confidence right now. It's just pretty much in their boots. I mean, it is just every single thing that could go wrong is going wrong. I'm pretty sure Piranha noticed it from the moment he entered onto the wood with the no engine, that he knew, like, okay, this is not going to be it. I'm going to lose some speed, but hopefully I can retake it on the quarter pipe. Then the quarter pipe landing was bad, and then, I think him crashing into the finish was like, whatever. It's just one of those things. You gotta reset. You gotta go again. It's not over just yet, but the road is long and arduous. That, like equal footing that we had in a minute, just like, 10 minutes ago? All of a sudden, there's a mountain to climb for Molotov Gaming, but they will persevere, right? They're still going for it. They haven't thrown the towel in the ring just yet. The Vortex is doing everything he needs to do for LGB to keep the momentum in their favor.
Yep, and Piranha touched the wood, but that's okay. Novu is quite a long way back. So Huso, if he can somehow get a way through, he could take this from Vortex. What a wonky line there from the Frenchman, but he will secure the draw. If you're Molotov, if there was ever a time, a true lock-in moment, it would be now. Yes,
Oh, yeah.
LGB is not on match point yet, thankfully, but after this round, unless Molotov aces, they will be. So this is... There's got to be something in the Molotov tank. This can't be all they have.
It would be... Unfortunate crash right there from Huso.
Oh,
It just
God.
feels like such a disservice to the performance that they have been showing off throughout the season. I mean, it is from a relegation. We will have losers at the end of it all, right? 5, unfortunately, unable to win it, and 1 to take it to move on to division number 1. And so we will say goodbye, right? In some way, shape, or form for the time being. But this is just such an awful way for things to go, right? You expect a fight to be there. You expect some pressure being put on LGB, but right now it doesn't even feel like it is necessarily just LGB putting on the screws or something along those lines. It is just Molotov Gaming unable to get the momentum going. Nova with a bit of a crash there that will allow Huso and Vortex to get into the mix of things. And with Huso and Vortex, actually the gap is minuscule. Perhaps this is what Molotov Gaming was looking for. Perhaps this is the ace they have been desperately hunting for. Who's a bit of an awkward landing. Does he make the jump still? Yes, he does.
Oh.
It's gonna be an ace for Molotov Gaming. And in every single Thriller, you do need to get twist, and maybe this was the twist they needed.
Yep, puts them right back into it, down by 1. So maybe this is the turning point in the match. Maybe this is where that reverse sweep truly does start. It's going to be interesting to see, though, because like you said earlier, it's a long road ahead of them. It's not going to be fun. It ain't going to be quick. And it sure as hell is not going to be easy, especially with how LGB has been. Mentioning, of course, in the pregame, the differences that these two teams had in the starts to their season. One, right out of the gate, just left hook, right hook, all everywhere they could. And then the other, a slow burn. But we've seen what could be the summit of those two storylines.
Yeah, and right now, Huso and Piranha are doing everything they need to do to bring the fire to LGB. Huso currently in third place. Bit of a bad wood sector. Piranha now with an unfortunate clip, allow Novu to get closer. All of a sudden, things upside down for Molotov Gaming, and where they were looking quite favorable throughout most of the round, it will be LGB to counter that ace from Molotov Gaming with an ace of their own. And it is simply 1 point for Molotov Gaming. Everything is required right now for them to make it happen. Will they have what it takes? It is definitely, it's something that'll be quite the far cry. I think at this point, if you were a betting man, you'd be silly to bet on Molotov Gaming, but I'm sure that the true believers are still out there, right? There is still that hope. There is still that potential for that to happen, but it's quite dire.
It is. If they want to at least go to overtime, they have to ace here and then victory the next round. That is the game plan. If they give LGB 1 point, regardless of victory or draw, it's over. They are gone. They are out. And we did see... Sorry, was that? Oh, I thought I saw somebody go way off. Oh, Novu and Vortex?
You did.
Both having problems. Okay, hold on to your hats, folks. This is the opportunity for Molotov to get one half of the plan done, and then they'll just have one more to go, either overtime or victory, to keep this series alive. They both hit the quarter pipe perfectly. They'll both go one side, and there it is, an ace for Molotov. Vortex just pulling through, and Novu gonna go for a little bit of a swim. I think it's a little early for a summer pool party.
I mean, for those, at least in the Netherlands, weather is phenomenal. It's great outside, so I don't blame them taking a load off, just by the water side. before getting into another, well, thrilling match. Because, I mean, it is 9-8, that scenario that where you were mentioning just now. We are 50% of the way there, and it's going to be a question of if Molotov Gaming can make it a full 100% and actually get themselves onto the board. For those who have been noticing on the side, 5W versus Damascus Gaming has concluded, which was quite the quick one. And with Piranha having issues with the 360, that may be all she wrote. The only hope they can have is a mistake on LGB's side.
Yeah, LGB has to completely throw it away here if they want to win. But with how strong Novu and Vortex have been, not just here on Thriller, but just overall, that is pretty much an impossible set of odds. Even if they slow down and let Huso through to take first, it's still going to be a draw, and it's still going to give them the win. But maybe there's something left. Maybe there's something, anything they can work with. Huso's going to clip. Folks, that's going to do it. Novu and Vortex take it with an ace here on Thriller. And for Molotov, they don't even get the chance to take a map. They lost map 1. They lost their pick for map 2. And they're going to lose on map 3. And unfortunately, that's it. Flame is out.
Yeah, it's been doused quite quickly. Before it started to become a wildfire, it was already stomped out before it even began. And yeah, it's a tough way to go out. They got close there on Thriller, right? Gave them, their fans a bit of hope, themselves a bit of hope, but unfortunately just unable to really close things out. And so I think this is a good time as any to take a step back, reassess our thoughts and reconvene with our analyst desk alongside Babs, which I believe you and I will be joining as well. So join us as we transport over into the analyst desk.
Oh my god,
Welcome
Babs,
back,
hi.
guys. Yes, I missed you guys. But
How you doing?
thankfully LGB were like, you know what, we're gonna make it short for you guys. You can reconvene, rejoin on the analyst desk quickly. It won't take too long. A quick 3-0 from the French pairing. Quite a dominant performance. I think from map 1, it seemed clear who the winner of that match was going to be. As you rightly pointed out, Boney, the other match that was going on at the same time, 5W against that Lifeline team, Damascus Gaming, also ending in a 3-0, which means that 5W and Leed Baton are going to fight out for that spot in that lower final against one of those Division 1 teams. Well, lights out from both teams. Impressive performance is going to be a difficult one to predict. I don't know what to say really about that one. It was a difficult match for both Damascus Gaming and Molotov Gaming. Did we expect a little bit more from Molotov?
I myself did a bit, but I mean, at the same time, as we've mentioned a couple times already, right? They came out flying at the start of the league, and they somewhat slowed down towards the latter halves. And maybe what we see is just the conclusion of that. Maybe it's just them, being able to thrive quite quickly on these tracks, right, and being able to stretch their legs, but with other teams maybe requiring a bit more time to get into the swing of things. They just got cut up too, right? Obviously, there have been some errors here or there on their side that have definitely hurt their opportunities, right, when they are in a winning position. But outside of that, pace-wise, I think even with that, LGB may have been able to come out on top. So, in retrospect, sure, right? Obviously, hindsight's 2020, but I think this was, even if it was a 3-1, I think this still would have gone the way of LGB.
Yeah, and Legion, the only map that looks slightly close there was Thriller, the one at the end, which sometimes feels a little bit like the wild card in this map pack. I would like to point out that the only map that was shared across both matches was Marabella, as 5W and Damascus Gaming did play Orbit, Skelear, and then Marabella, which means that this match coming up between 5W and LGB is going to be interesting. Going to see them face off on some of the maps that they haven't played thus far in their first matches. Just to come back on Thriller, Legion, to compare it against, some of the maps that we had previously in Beacon competitions, such as the Funny Yellow map that everybody will remember quite fondly, is it the ace in the pack? Is it the one that some of these more underrated teams will try and pull out against those stronger teams?
I think so. We've seen it in pretty much every part of this competition. We have seen teams that struggle on every other map somehow find a way through on Thriller. I don't think it's a guaranteed win for those underperforming teams, but at the very least, it has proven to be one of those maps where even if you're on top of your game and you're ahead, you can still lose very, very quickly. So I feel like we should maybe see it more as a decider map, but I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see which maps are picked in that next match. It is going to be 5W against Leed Baton, and that's coming right up after a short break.
I've been waiting for somebody just like you, seeing all the colors, no more shades of blue. You picked me up from nothing, and now I'm feeling something. I've been waiting for somebody just like you.
Haven't got ready in a while. That's why you missing smiles. Haven't had somebody take you out and show you worth your while. Friday night you staying in. Where's the fun in missing friends? Worked all day and cry all night. I think you need somewhere to send. Shy in public but a threat. All these girls will stare and check at you. At first sight I lost my breath, 'cause I've never seen someone like you.
I've been waiting for somebody just like you, seeing all the colors, no more shades of blue. You picked me up from nothing, and now I'm feeling something. I've been waiting for somebody just like you. Just like I think I need therapy or just some more whiskey. I can't seem to understand how you do this to me. You've been running in circles inside my head. Wasn't looking for love, but baby, I found you instead.
And we are back, one match down, many more to come. Our first step is over, and we have said goodbye to Damascus Gaming and Molotov Gaming. Randomize, you were watching that 5W Damascus Gaming. Is there anything you can report back, anything interesting from that one?
Yeah, 5W looking scary, looking good, and I kept an eye on both games. And LGB, good luck.
Yeah, similar story from that LGB game. Looked good, looked strong. Now let's take a look at this matchup. 5W against Leed Baton. They are some of the top teams from Division 2, and they are going to be facing off to stay in the competition. They've made it past that first hurdle. Now, Boney, you were covering that LGB match. How much of a threat do you think they can pose to this 5W lineup?
They're looking consistent. I think that is going to be their big upside to them. Obviously, 5W coming out on top in the league is already a threat in and of itself. But honestly, Novu, Vortex, they are looking very well played up into one another, right? And whenever one falters, there is the other one to cover. But even then, most of the times, they're pretty much side by side, following each other's lines, and that is so crucial when it comes to these duo competitions. Just making sure that you're both there, any situation whatsoever. I think the only one that they may be a bit worried about was their pick on their previous match, Mander. I think that one, I don't know if they'll stick with it. Maybe they'll decide to go into Thriller, but obviously things are different. You're playing against a different team. You're not playing against Molotov. You're playing against 5W, which may influence the way things will go in terms of their order of maps.
Yeah, absolutely. This pick system is going to play a big role, in this match between 5W and Leed Baton. Obviously, the dynamic between these two teams quite different. As you said, Nova and Vortex, quite similar players. Yana Marsley may be slightly different, but this is how they got on during Division 2. These previous results in the league phase. As you can see, LGB against 5W, that was a 3-2 win for LGB. Maybe the result a lot of people wouldn't expect, considering the season that 5W had. Is that a surprise to you, Randomize?
Slightly. And I say slightly, just because 5W honestly has been looking quite amazing all season long. But LGB has just been showing that when it's a good day, you know, like they always say in competitive gaming, if you got a hot hand, let them do it, let them take it, you know, let them handle it. And LGB is one of those those teams where like they both can pop off together and it looks really good. So it's just one of those questions of whether or not we're going to see that again. They just came off a 3-0, so momentum is feeling good. They're probably feeling hot. But 5W also just came off a 3-0. They did take the Masters Gaming, who wasn't even really planning to play. So it's one of those like, did we deserve that 3-0? Would have been different if Puff Boys was here. We don't know. So I feel like this match is going to be more of like a momentum game, like how they're going to come into this match from the last one.
Interesting. And obviously, as you mentioned, momentum is currently both with these two teams off of a 3-0 win in the first round. I am going to have to ask you, though, for a prediction going into this one. 5W versus LGB. And I'll come to you, Boney, first. You've had some time to simmer on that decision. Who have you got in this one?
I mean, I'm just going to stick with 5W for this one. But I mean, both teams coming off a high, right? Those 3-0 wins is obviously a boost to confidence. And I don't think it'll be a close one as we saw in the previous one. I do expect fireworks from this one. 3-2 is the way I would call it. But I think the pendulum will swing in the way of 5W.
Eventually a longer match to come, maybe a bit tighter as well. Randomize, who are you going with?
I'm gonna honestly say I was saying like 5W is gonna look good. Good luck, LGB. But part of me, I am gonna go with I'd have to actually go with LGB, just because even though 5W looked great last match, they made a lot of mistakes. They just had better pace. So LGB, if they hold on to it, 5W is going down.
Well, we can let you draw your conclusions all day long, but unfortunately, all of that will be happening on the track. Unfortunately for you guys, you'll be the ones covering it. So I'm going to let you guys get out of here, get on the caster desk, and talk us through this one.
There we go. I mean, we are just in time, actually, randomized for the picks and bans. So, I mean, not a lot to ban, obviously a lot to pick. We still have the 5 maps being played for this best of 5, and yeah, we already have some coming in, some interesting ones at that as well. 5W does get the onus on this one to pick first, and it does look like Thriller is going to be their venue to kick things off.
Yeah, I'm generally not surprised that 5W picked Thriller. They've looked really good all season long, and then you see LGB following up with Mander, and that one's a good pick. I feel for LGB. They looked like they were doing really well last match, where 5W didn't even get to play Mander last match, so they probably will feel a lot more comfortable going into as their second map.
Yeah, and well, now we see Orbit being that second pick for 5W, meaning that Marabella and Skelear will be part of the random ones. Does look like Marabella is going to be coming up as 4 and Skelear is 5. And yeah, with that said and done, we already have everything ready. 5W starting things off on their own map. We'll be very, very curious to see if Marsley and Jan will have what it takes against Leed Baton. Both teams going up 3-0, but only one spot remaining for the next match. Gonna be Thriller.
Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play.
And here we go. Starting on to Thriller. Last time these two teams, saw each other, 5W was able to take the match 11-9. So now we're going to see if we're going to see any rebuttal coming out of LGB. And Vortex already the first one to make a small mistake, and Novu is back in P3. So this is going to be a good start for 5W getting into the first round of Thriller.
Oh, Marsley, I'm not sure what that slowdown was right there, right before the 360. But Novu, with a bit of a clip on the light beam, does mean that he's falling out into 4th place. Fortunately for him, his teammate Vortex is there to pick up the scraps, pick up the pieces. And it is a bit of a mixed board. Jan in 1st, Vortex in 2nd, Marsley in 3rd, Novu in 4th. And honestly, none of the players that close to one another. We'll have to come down to some slight errors, for example, on this, what things can go wrong, but everybody making their way across quite neatly. Only the quarter pipe remaining. And again, in terms of risk, there's really not a lot to be gained. The gaps are simply too large, and yeah, that is going to be a win for 5W on their map pick, Thriller.
Nice little conga line to start off the first round. You know, it's always satisfying to watch them drive in a line together, but of course these guys want to be neck and neck, nose to nose if they want to be able to put any kind of pressure on their opponents. So 5W starting off pretty well on our first map pick here. And one of the things that we didn't really talk about was when these two saw each other in league play, it was actually the first week. So we didn't even get to really see how 5W versus LGB at full throttle, you know, because these guys were still training. And unfortunately, like as I say, that Jan messes up in the 360, 540, how many spins you need to get through that one. But his teammate Marsley doing a good job up in front, holding down the lead with a good 0.5-ish lead. Vortex, though, trying to look to close in. He's not going to be able to, since he's kind of forced with his speed to not go any faster through that entire part. And Vortex ends up clipping, resetting as well. Nova is going to be one chasing, and Jan is taking a swim. I don't know what he's doing in the water, but he is down there.
Yeah, definitely not going to be able to get in the way, but that was looking to be a draw simply due to Jan's error on the 360 sector. So pretty much taking it easy, taking a little bit of a splash of swords to take it easy for round number 2. 3-2 still in favor of 5W. And it looks like this is going to be a bit of the tempo that we see between the two. It's only been 2 rounds, but I think we're getting a good idea of what is possible. Coming on to what you were saying just now, right? Round number 1 was the place where these teams met on day number 1. Skelear and Mander, just a week out, and we have seen how much trouble teams were having around that time as well. It's been getting better, right? Players have been getting more consistent, and it could very much mean the difference between these two teams. Leed Baton on the 360 this time around, having some issues, and Mander and Marabella off into the sunset on this no break sector.
I mean, generally not surprised. This was 5W's pick, so seeing them doing pretty well and feeling comfortable on this one makes complete sense to me. Jan and Marsley just looking pretty good, holding up in front P1-2. Vortex trying to find any way in, but this is such a slow map. It's very hard to find any space. You need one of the players to make a mistake, and Jan actually goes wide. Takes the safer option of the risky finish, but good calculations knowing he will not fall behind, and that's going to be an ace for 5W, currently up 4 points over LGB. But There's still room for LGB to bounce back, and the life is not over until it's over for these players, and that's for sure. But Novu and Vortex, they have been, I would say, relatively driving consistent. They've been driving pretty well, but they're not getting the pace that 5W is putting out there.
Yeah, I think the only place they have been faltering on, but it is one of the trickiest part, is this sector right here, the 360.
Yeah,
this
there
time
we go.
around, everybody making their way through, surviving at, but the pace is what you were talking about, is what we're seeing here, where Vortex and Novu started off in the lead. It's Yana and Marsley who were able to overtake, just coming into that 360 with so much more speed that the gap at this point is 3/10 of a second already. And they are starting to run away with it, right? It's not the consistency that's the issue. 5W in this situation, in this round, is simply faster. And the only thing LGB can hope for is a mistake, but doesn't look like Jan or Marsley is going to give them any of the swords, and they will take another 3 points just like that. 9-2. This is looking like a completely different result of the map compared to what we saw in week 1.
Yeah, and I told you in the pre-match, this is what I was saying. 5W looking really good with their pace. They were just making more mistakes from what I was watching from last match compared to LGB. In their match, they were being more consistent. So now you got the pace versus consistency pretty much on this map. So LGB have to pray for the downfall of Jan and Marsley, but 5W has been doing much better cleaning up their game, and at this point, it doesn't even matter. They just need someone in that P2 position, and it's going to be very difficult for them, especially with the amount of speed that's coming out of this one. We see a mistake coming out of Marsley and Vortex, but Jan was able to get through that 360 so cleanly and get up ahead, 0.6 ahead of Novu, and it's only going to get harder now because the speed is going to start slowing down. They have to go through the no break slowly, and then they're going to have cruise control into a no break, so you are just not accelerating. It is purely based off how tight you're going to be able to take your lines. Jan, with a healthy lead now, doesn't really need to go for any crazy pushes. He can go wide here. He can even go to the right side of this jump to be safe, and that's going to be plenty of time for him. So that's going to be the first map going to 5W, winning their map pick.
Yeah, a lot cleaner than Leed Baton right there. Just solid performance for 5W. Really, only the first round, maybe the 2, was a bit less tricky. Oh, having some issues on my end. Oh yeah, my tab crashed. We'll
Guys,
get that
the voices are coming out of my head. I'm very sorry. That is not Boney. Those are the other voices in my head. I'm losing my mind, as well as these players, for sure, as they're losing their mind as well. But we are going to be going into another map that these players are going to lose their mind, and that's going to be Mander.
They watch, you slip, you phone, who this, who cares, move it, you know how we do this. You know how we do this. Hands up, eating, you lights, shooting.
To the races once again, this time around on LGB's pick. It is Mander for these 4 players to duke it out for a second point to be gained. Will it go the way of 5W? Will it go the way of Leed Baton? That is going to be the big question. For now, though, everybody getting through the start without any scratches, except for Vortex, actually. I did miss that one. He is going to be down for the count and leaving things up to Novu, but they have been looking phenomenal, both Novu and Vortex, on the second half of this track, and it's going to be up to Jan and Marsley to try and catch up. Last time around as well, this map was out for about a week, and LGB, I think, just faster learners compared to 5W, winning this one 10-6. Very curious to see if we'll see a repeat of the sorts, or, similar to what we had just now on Thriller, perhaps an even stronger performance. Though, for the time being, it's a fight between Jan and Novu.
Yeah, no, I mean, again, will 5W be able to pull out the pace they did in the last match? This is, in my opinion, a much harder map where there are just so many little small tricks that can throw you off. You know, you're doing these weird gear 2 dirts that you're not used to doing. And, you know, it's one of those things where you have to go from semi-fast pace of Thriller to a really fast pace at the beginning into very slow dirt and to all of a sudden picking your pace back up. So you were kind of feeling like you're on this weird roller coaster going up and down quickly in and out. And we're going to start off with a draw for the first round as one of the LGB players did make an early mistake and kind of just... You know, I'm starting to notice this is the second map in a row where one of the players who made a mistake ended up just not driving. And maybe it's a strategy to just go, you know what, I'm going to lose this one. There's really barely any chance for me to come back. I'm just going to make call-outs. And it's not a bad idea. Like, I was talking to Babs in the green room, and we were talking about, like, the skill level to add in call-outs to Trackmania and how much of a difference it can make per team. And... you know, right now, if you were making that call out, Vortex would... Oh, okay, never mind. Dude, seriously? Is this caster crew's coming back?
Yeah,
when I say
don't
name,
know.
they die? Am I just not allowed to cast anymore? I have to go away.
Don't worry about it. I mean, we'll talk in code names for the future, and maybe some way, you know, that won't affect. But for the time being, Vortex is going to be down in P4. Jan and Marsley able to make it a tie as Novu has been running the show for this round, pretty much looking unstoppable throughout all of it. But yeah, Vortex, unfortunate clip does mean that it's gonna stay in a drawn position, 2-2, 2 rounds done, third round on their way. And I mean, Novu and Vortex definitely looking a lot more comfortable here, I would say. It doesn't mean that they're flawless, right? We already had that first mistake on round number 1. Unfortunately, Vortex having some issues here on the third round as well to get into the swing of things. Same goes for Novu, who currently is lagging behind by about a second and a half. As much as the caster cursing has been underway, I mean, you can also say the team name, I guess, and then things go wrong. But hey, maybe you just don't. And Jan having some issues allowing Vortex to all of a sudden get closer and perhaps stop an ace from happening.
Yeah, no, I mean, Jan made a mistake, but he was able to recover really quickly. Vortex, though, just has the better line due to Jan having to play the rest of this track with a bit of a lower speed than normal. So now we're spread out pretty far. Novu is going to go back into call-out mode as he stops driving in the back. And Jan makes another mistake in the back. So now Vortex is just pretty much sending the lasers through the mine to try to get Marsley to miss the finish, but he doesn't miss that finish. Marsley, Jan taking P1, P3, and that's going to be a victory. We're going to finally break up this draws that have been happening for the past 2 rounds, but will LGB be able to respond with a victory or even better an ace and draw the matchup again? We had a nice quick round 1 of matches, and now 5W and LGB said, okay, we're done with those matches. Let's put on a show.
Yeah. And so far, it's definitely a bit of a show. We're still looking for that strike back from LGB. You know, if you were to look at it from a boxing point of view, they're just pretty much in the being pushed into the ropes right now by 5W at each and every one of these turns. Novu with a bit of a misstep does fall behind. We'll hope that he does keep driving, as Jan is this time the one to make an error, and Vortex falling behind. It really is starting to feel like where LGB was looking quite consistent and clean. Their second time around here is not very much replicating that. They are constantly having to take back some of these positions. Jan a bit slower through the grass, which Nova and Vortex have been excelling at, despite any and all tribulations that they have encountered. It's still a hard-fought battle, and Novu. That is such just an unfortunate mistake, right? It's one of those mistakes you don't expect to happen. Vortex having some issues getting into the rescue fan. Jan with the crash. Saw the slippy, slidey, wheelsy, widey around from Vortex, and it's gotta be an ace from 5W, and all of a sudden this match is completely wide open, and 5W on track points.
Oh man, Jan just kept the pressure on both LGB players, constantly being right behind them. You know, you're watching those times and you know, oh man, he's gaining on us, and it is getting scary. Jan again back into that P4 position, but you know what? if there is one player that can hang out back there and start to do some damage, it can be Jan. We just saw that last round. He was just hanging out in P4 almost the entire time, switching back and forth with the players. Now it's Marsley putting the pressure on LGB. LGB cannot get ace, otherwise they drop the second map, which was their map pick, and then we would go into a random map. So neither players or neither teams were willing to pick the map, but we're going to be thrown on that one no matter what. So LGB, maybe this is the time you do the bounce back, and it's starting to look somewhat good. As soon as I said that, Vortex is all alone now, as Novu fell a little bit behind, but still not the worst. And then Vortex makes a mistake. Marsley going more on the inside. No. It's such a neck-and-neck race between the two of them. Vortex a little bit more ahead. Oh, okay, his car was starting to spin. That was getting a little scary, but LGB finally responding the way we expected them to.
Yeah, shrinking the gap by a singular point, still a lot better than allowing 5W to stay as far ahead as they did. But the consistency, I mean, Jan has been having some issues in the last couple of rounds, right? Definitely faltering a bit around the midway point, but it's looking a lot more dire for LGB. Definitely thrown a little bit more caution to the wind in some of these turns, and it's very much not paying off in their favor. I mean, really, the upside of things has been, Jan slowing down a little bit, right? Unable to keep up with his teammate Marsley. But, driving off the track in and of itself will also allow your opponents to get into a beautiful position. Win is all 5W needs to get that win on the map itself as well. And Vortex, while he is setting up the chase, he went a little bit too close to the sun, hits the wall, and Jan and Marsley, all they need to do is keep on driving, keep on trucking. There's no need to fully risk. Vortex once again hitting the wall. And yeah, I think that is going to be all she wrote for Mander. All Jan and Marsley. No slides happening for them. They keep the pace. They keep the lines. And Marsley, while he does have a little bit of issue going for the risk, he decides to take it safe. And that's A-okay. Because from a 10-6 victory on Leed Baton on their first meet, it's going to be a 10-6 for 5W.
Yeah, I mean, once you saw that mistake happen, you knew Nova was done. And, 5W looking pretty good. I know I did predict LGB, but that's just because there was a little bit of hope, honestly, in there. But when you look on the paper, when you're looking at every results, 5W is the one looking the best and having the best chance to go into Div 1. But we're not there yet. We are still here on map number 3, which will be Marabella.
It's all or nothing for LGB. Novo and Vortex. Pressure has been put on them due to 5W's strong performance on the last two tracks, doing what they needed to do on Thriller, doing what they needed to do on Mander, and now will they be able to keep that momentum going? Will they go undefeated to face off against one of those Div 1 teams that are waiting for them? It is going to be quite the journey, and we'll see if they'll be able to finish it up. As of Novo and Vortex, they are possibly at the last stop in theirs. As for the time being, it's going to be a fight. This is the first of random maps. It is Marabella, and Jan and Marsley are looking quite strong out of the gates.
Yeah, no, they're looking pretty dang good right now. Marsley still holding that P3 position. Now, the last time these two teams saw each other, it was actually it was 5W that took the match 10-5. Although when they played in that match, Novu had the best time overall, as Novu was going to push, and because of the mistake, Marsley, what? He was in the finish. Hello, game. Marsley makes a clip at the end and ends up becoming a draw. What probably should have been an ace. Unfortunately, Marsley makes a mistake. But yeah, Novu did have the best time overall out of everybody in the match when these two played each other. So maybe Novu's kind of on home turf. He's going to feel fine about this one. It was a random pick. It wasn't either team's pick. So there's 5 maps you got to pick from, and unfortunately, if you're C2, you only get 1 pick. But Novu maybe would have picked this map. Who knows?
Yeah. I mean, right now he's doing what he needs to do to contest Jan and Marsley. Vortex having a bit of a slower start coming out of that ice wall slide, and will fall behind by about 0.3 of a second. Still not impossible to be overcome. We still have the fragile sector that can cause quite some AMFs we saw during that previous round. Oof, Marsley getting very close to the inside, but will be able to stay in the thick of things with Novu. Taking a bit of a different approach on the third line. Doesn't really make a difference at the end of it all. In fact, I think Marsley was able to catch up just a little bit. Jan, though, keeping the momentums, making sure that P1 is his for the take. And Marsley with a better exit out of the fragile sector. Does he have to drift? Does he have to speed what it takes? Well, you know what? He needs to, as Jan is out of commission, and he will do so. So from an ace to a draw, definitely not what you want to happen. But hey, at least there is no loss happening on either side.
Last match, we saw this happen where they draw for 2 rounds in a row. And then from there, 5W just started to pick up the pace and start to kick some butt with a victory and an ace. So maybe we're just going to repeat. I heard Legion last match. He was saying, stop copy and pasting the first paragraph of the script. But it seems to be today's script. You just repeat and rinse and repeat, rinse and repeat. It looks good. It makes the competition look closer than it really is. Who knows? Like, yeah, we're gaming, folks, but Novu looking a lot better this round, up in front. Exactly what I expected to see out of Novu. Vortex doing the little wiggles. I'm hoping everything's fine on his side, and Novu ends up crashing the pole. So now it's down to Vortex, who is currently 0.2 behind. He's starting to gain ever so slightly, but he's not that close, unfortunately. Starting to fall even farther behind. Marsley and Jan now just holding hands through the rest of the track. Hopefully no mistakes will happen. 0.7, 1.4 behind are the LGB boys. So at this point, Jan, Marsley, take it easy. Nice and easy as they go through the end, and an ace for them. We are starting to repeat the script. I don't like it.
we kind of are. It was looking a little bit dicey right there for Jan. His line looking a little bit further outside than you would have liked to be comfortable, but fortunate for him, making his way past without any error, any mistakes, and rewarded with the 3 points. Nova and Vortex just unable to get a grip on this match, where the previous one they very much were in control. This is very much a role reversal of the sorts. Vortex once again with a bit of a slower start, putting the onus on him to perform and keep things in favor of LGB, down by 3 points just because of that singular ace, right? But hey, you know what? Sometimes you just can't handle it, right? Sometimes the pressure just gets to you, as we saw happen right there. It does mean that this time around, once again, Vortex, the one to do some defense, and having to do it again with a deficit. That is very, very tough to watch. And Jan and Marsley, again, it's just a matter for them to be consistent, even pace-wise. I don't think it's the issue. It's really just consistency.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there were so many times where it really looked like both Novu and Vortex were able to really do good push on this map, but there's just been too many small mistakes that are happening over and over again, round after round, and that is definitely, there's pressure on Novu for sure. Vortex has constantly been fighting from the back end every round so far, so Novu knows I have to push this map, and the pressure's getting to him. Your backs are against the wall. It is 8-2 now. A victory will knock you out. The season is officially over for you, LGB, if you cannot get an ace here and continue to do so moving forward.
Yeah, players moving around the ice, and once again we do see Vortex coming out at the bottom, just not having the pace, right? It's really not been a consistency. It's really been a matter of pace, and yeah, it can be over and out. 5W coming out on top in the season. The only game that they have dropped against the team was against Leed Baton, and it does look like they are about to solidify that championship run of sorts that they had in Division 1, beating each and every one of their team along the way. And this would be the crown on top of things. Obviously, the reward at the end of the road would be a spot in Division number 1. And they're not there quite yet, but with the pace they're driving right now, they are putting a second step towards that. Novu trying to keep up, unable to get the pace in. Vortex slowing down as well. It's going to be on Marsley to close things out with an ace if they just keep it together, and they do indeed. What a knockout punch right there from 5W. 3 maps played, 3 maps won, and an ace to finish things off. It's going to be 5W to 5 for a spot in Division 1.
You know, you can tell the emotion that's going on in the player depending on how fast they leave the server. And unfortunately, Novu just left so quickly. You know, you could see it. Sometimes it happens. Sometimes you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed and everything starts to go off. You're like, I can't get focused. I'm making mistakes. It happens. And unfortunately, it happened on the last match possible in the season here in BDL Season 1. So it's, you know, good GG's to LGB. You guys did play amazing. But 5W just looked stronger today. And that's how it is sometimes in tournaments. So we are actually not going to be taking a break. We're going to be jumping straight into the other match that's happening, the Div 1 match happening in the upper brackets. So I'm looking forward to that one, Boney, because we didn't have a lot of time to prep for this match, but it is OrcsGP Numops versus TXO. And TXO, they ended up, if I remember correctly, they had to forfeit their last 2 matches. They just could not find a time to reschedule their matches. So it went from really like kind of a rough start of the season to just we'll see you over in promo relegation. Like how do you mentally get yourself ready for something like this, Boney?
Yeah. It's definitely one that I mean, I'm looking forward to. Obviously, we're flying through things a little bit, and it's our Div 1 teams to duke it out. These 2 teams have afforded themselves that second chance just because of them coming out of Division 1, just coming out as more top seats. Not a word. We'll call it a word for now. Either way, the loser of this will be facing off against 5W, whereas the other one will have one more match to potentially close out their promo relegation, and with that would have be able to keep their spot in Division number 1. So very curious to see how that'll pan out as we do get things ready for a great match, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, our buddies over at eCircuit Mania has been keeping us up to date. If you go and check out their website, you can actually see the match even if we're not in it. You can keep an eye on the match. Currently, right now, it's 6-5, OrcsGP up. They did a victory, and it looks like the final round is closing up with another victory coming out of OrcsGP. So nicely done at OrcsGP, starting to really push away with the lead. They are currently up 8-6 now, and moving into potentially what could be the last round for the OrcsGP Numops team. Seeing that they are the top seed, this was definitely their pick as they're playing on Orbit, and this was definitely a map that both Bozbez and Tween were looking pretty good. You know, I've had my doubts about Tween. I know he's a great player, but sometimes when you put him on these weird, wonky, twisty, turny, kind of crazy maps, all of a sudden it's just not somewhere Tween could be calling home. But he has been shutting me up, and I'm always happy when players start to shut me up because Bozbez and Tween have been looking really good on the weird, wonky, twisty, turny Orbit. And you know, right now I was able to get into the server really quickly, so I'll be able to update you guys. And currently, it's looking like, with a mistake coming out of Nico, too many of them. Bozbez and Tween are going to draw this one again, so the match will be 9-7 as the round finishes up.
Oh, still a bit dangerous then at the moment for OrcsGP Numops, maybe in the lead, but that does mean that Ace is going to be a big difference maker. So yeah, no, curious to see. But as you know, as you're mentioning, right, on Tween's side, it's very much a player who has been able to thrive in just, to oppose the other other team's name in quite a lot of competitions, but also it does feel like there is a limit of sorts, right? Sometimes things just don't go the way as they should, and you can very much see that in his play. He can start off strong, and the second half just not really being able to keep up as much, and that is exactly what is important when it comes to league play, right? You're playing all 5 maps. You are going through a match that'll take about 50-something minutes. It does mean that keeping that momentum going, especially on these tracks, as you say, right, a bit twisty-turny of sorts, they are mixed, but not as traditionally mixed, right? I think in that sense, the climate, the way mapping happens, right, has very much evolved, has very much moved forward from what we saw in, for example, 2022 in TM 2020. And yeah, it's at this point in time that we find ourselves that we have maps that are very much testing the skill level of our players.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, who knows? We'll only find out in just a short time, because these players are duking it out. The first map does go to Orkshipi Numoops, as they were able to win that first round 12-7. And Bospez and Tween both bouncing back and forth on who was the player to be up in front for the two of them. So looking good for them as we're going to be going into the next map, which was Thrive X or TXO. Sorry, it's easier for me to say it that way. But they are going into their map pick, which will be Mander.
They watch, we slip, we phone, do this, who cares, move it, you know how we do this. You know how we do this. Hands up, getting, blue lights, shooting.
All right, as we get this map underway, we go straight into a pause. So,
Beautiful.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure what happened to Bospez. We went from map to map, and Bospez got blocked and denied into into the map. I know for some reason with these latest updates, people have been having these weird things where you start to jump in, like you go from one map to another, and then your game just crashes. I know it's been happening to mine. Nadeo, please fix. But, it happens. So we will be starting the second map momentarily as we are waiting for Bospez to get back inside of that one. But, yeah, we're on map number 2, Mander. This is TXO's pick, Boney. And I have to say, I really don't know what to expect out of this one, just because of the fact that TXO hasn't really played that much this season and really shown what they can do, in my opinion.
Yeah. The times they've played, I mean, haven't been able to post the best results and unable to come into the last week as well. Just did solidify their situation of being in this promo relegation. At the same time as well, I mean, I myself really haven't had the opportunity, the chance to, see them play for myself, right? And it's, I'm curious to see, I mean, Neko and Nico, both strong players, but being strong players doesn't automatically mean doing well. We have so many strong players in the tournament, and well, at this point in time, they did find themselves at the bottom of the leaderboard. So we'll see if now that they are available, right, now that they have the time, perhaps that week off have given them some room to practice and grow. I mean, Mander as well, right? I think a good map to use if you do enjoy pace. It's really only the start that usually can cause some issues, but other than that, consistency can be quite high. Still, though, it is Orkshipi Numoops who are leading 1-0.
Yeah, they are leading 1-0, and I did just take a look at the current season. It's unfortunate to say, but TXO, they played 4 matches. They lost every single one of them, and then they forfeited the last 3. So, sometimes, this is one of the hard things about an open qualifier into a league, right? Like, I was just mentioning earlier, 5W may have had the hotter hand against LGB. LGB might have woken up on the wrong side of the bed. Who knows? TXO, they could have had the hot hand that day. They could have won. You know, there's definitely some people that could say, nah, they didn't deserve it. Some people say they definitely deserve it. Who knows? It all really comes down to results and being able to do it over and over and over. So to see them, unfortunately, struggling with, you know, like they took on Blah in the first round. They lost 3-2. Then they took on, where are they? They took on Galactic Baguettes, and it was 4-1, and then it was like 4-1, and then 4-1. It's rough, you know? So hopefully we won't see another 4-1 as we're going to go finally into the game. Bozbez was able to fix his computer, and we are going to be jumping again onto Mander, which is the second map, which was TXO's pick. Again, the team that we have not seen that much this season, all of a sudden decided to jump in on such a map like Mander.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting pick, but they did have the time. Very curious to see how this will translate in terms of match results, especially against Tween and Bozbez. Definitely two players that when they are on fire, they very much are. So, and yeah, I'm curious to see if that week off did help out. Nico and Nako for now are trailing behind Tween, who has the lead only just though by a couple hundredths of a second as Bozfest, with a bit of a slower start, is currently stuck in P4. Nako having issues entering into the grass sector. A beautiful place to gain speed, but an awful place for it to go wrong as well. Poor acceleration does mean that Nako is going to be behind by about a full second. Bozbez in first is going to have to rely on Tween to stay in first. To get a victory on the board would be a beautiful way to kick things off. Ready for the risky fin, jump their way up, and yeah, that is going to be Tween crossing the finish line in first place with a 108.5, and Bozbez coming in third will make it a victory for Orcs GP Numawops.
Queen looking really good on this one for sure. Unfortunately, we saw a mistake coming out of TXO, and hopefully Nako is going to be able to bounce back on that one. We definitely know that Nako and Nico do have the skill to take on these guys. It's just being able to produce that skill out when the time matters. And again, we're on their pick, so maybe it was just a little bit of a shaky first round. We did have a small technical issue, so you could have started to lose that bit of momentum. Who knows? But as I say that, unfortunately, Nako is going to be the one to make the mistake again. Nico is all by himself now. So if that is confusing enough for you guys to remember who he's who, good luck. Because, and as a reminder, we also are on the Div 1 match. This is the lower two seeds that are playing to try and go straight into the grand final to fight their way back into Div 1, not lose their spot. The other team, that's it. Goodbye. You are out, and you're going to have to try again next BDL season to go back into Div 1. But Bozbez and Tween up in front, P1 and P2, and Nico falling farther behind. But we have seen this ending claim lives, but Bozbez and Tween looked really good last time. They look good again. That's going to be an ace. Orcs Numawap is going to be running away with a 5-1 now.
Yeah, that was a quite dominant performance from them. Obviously, the mistake from Nako did not help out TXO, but at the same time, Tween and Bozbez right there, it just looked phenomenal, doing what they needed to do, putting the pace up this time around, not a slower start from Bozbez, and with that translating into an ace 5-1, I think makes sense, right? Based on what we've seen thus far, it's been Orcs GP Numawops that when the straights are there, right, when the turns are there, they are able to be just slightly faster than TXL. Oof, bit of a stroppy start from Tween. Does mean that he will be behind in fourth place. And that's really the one spot that is a bit worrisome for Orcs GP Numawops. It's really that start, getting out there, guns blazing, and if you don't really get that, you're kind of down and out. But fortunately for them, Nako making a mistake, making an error entering into the third sector, and it's Nico on defense.
Yeah, man, it is a struggle to see this happening right now. Nako just cannot seem to get a good clean round. I mean, every round Nako has fallen behind. Nico has been the one taking on both of these players, although he's looking a lot better as he's falling a little bit behind. Bozbez just had a better line. And Bozbez, even though Nico was in the way, said, get out of my way. This is my victory. This is my win. And he was able to beat him a little bit over 0.12 in that round. A nice exit from him. So Orcs Numawops now up 7-2, and are looking for an ace to close this one out, and really hoping that we'll see Nako being able to kind of bounce back. Unfortunately, falling back already early in that ice into the water part and falling all the way into P4, and he's got quite some time to go, and he's been having trouble every round, and slowly but surely falling farther behind. And it is just Nico versus Bozbez up in front. Tween falling a little bit behind, but not really much pressure behind him. 0.2 as Nako is starting to actually climb up a little bit back into this race. So we got 2 1v1s happening where Tween has a little bit more speed and distance from Nako, but Bozbez and Nico on top of each other, back and forth, as Bozbez now starts to push a little bit ahead, but Nico has been doing a really good job getting a better exit out of this this penalty grass part, but then Bozbez tends to turn it around into the plastic part here. As you see, he actually goes a little bit farther up ahead, usually has a cleaner line here. He does more speed into the finish. That's going to be Bozbez finishing that one in with a 108.3.
Yeah, a victory for the Numawaps peeps. And we'll have to, it's something that I'm inclined to bring up, something that was a bit of a talking point last week. Orcs, Sheep, and Numawaps trying to avoid Mander, right? The map that was discussed to not be practiced. Now being the place where they are in a dominant position, 9-3 in their favor, may have been a factor in TXO's decision to pick this map. Right now, it's just been tough on them. Nako hasn't been able to drive a clean round on this track thus far. Again, starting off a bit slower. Fortunately for him, still within earshot of his opponents, and could take advantage of a mistake if it does so happen. But yeah, a bit of a renaissance ride on the side of Bozbez and Tween, getting into the swing of things on this track. Unfortunately, Nako does crash out, and all Orcs, Sheep, and Numawaps needs right now is one player in second place. And you know what? You got two on offer. And Nico slowing down right before the penalty grass there as well. I think they can get even more out of this.
Oh, yeah, they're looking to put the nail in the coffin and really shatter their dreams into the end. But never mind. Bozbez decided to... Okay, never mind. Everyone's flying in every other direction. All right, nail in the coffin. It's still there. Tween did a good job putting the nail. Yeah, you know, it's sometimes you just you just watch some people, they go to hit the nail with the hammer and they completely miss and hit their thumb. We just saw 2 people do that, and Tween goes, no, just like this, boys, right here, right down the middle, think easy. But
Exactly that.
it was that was an ending, but in the end of the day, it really didn't matter, you know. And it's one of those things that I like to say, Boney. There's people who win the match, and there's people who threw the match or lost the match. Right now, in my opinion, Orcs, like, even though there was a map they didn't know, they were just chilling. They were doing their thing because TXO were the ones who unfortunately threw it. But we have a thrill of a match coming up because now it is 2-0 TXO looking to respond here on Thriller.
Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play.
Well, let's see if TXO is going to be able to make this a thriller of a match still. It is 2-0 in favor of Orcs, GP, Numawaps, moving things off to our first of 2 random maps. And after this, we potentially could see Skelear, a map we haven't seen on stream at all the entire day. That's a little risky finish that tends to throw a spanner in the works for some of our players. Perhaps this is the time. This will make an entrance, but that's up to TXO. They need to thrive. They need to survive. And right now, Nako finally finding himself in a position that is a lot more comfortable than he was in the previous track. In first place, currently being chased down by Tween.
Yeah, we're back on a map that these guys do know, that they have been training since day 1. So seeing Nako up here makes a lot more sense. Maybe he just trained this map more. Maybe TXO went the same strat as Orcs and just said, nah, I'm not gonna not going to train Mander. We're just going to pick it and get it out of the way. And even though I say that, Tween is looking to try to catch up, but Nako, with a better jump and a transition, gets him farther away from Tween. And unfortunately, Nico now was the one who made a mistake that round. And it's going to start us off with a draw. But you know what? It's better than nothing. TXO, you can draw it all the way and then just get one good round. One, I want to see Skelear. Two, I want to see Nico and Nako bounce back because it has been a rough first couple maps. I would love to see them bounce back and really put some pressure on Orcs GP Nuops, which, by the way, we didn't even get to do predictions. So I'm going to throw this at you right now.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm throwing it right now. Does Orcs close this one out with a 3-0, or do we actually go into a game 4?
I do. Look. The spectator in me wants to say, try TXO keeps going, right? But the realist in me does say, like, based on how things have been going, based on the consistency that TXO has been able to show off, it doesn't look like their head is in the game. It doesn't look like they are as practiced on the tracks as some other teams have been. Obviously, they have had a bit of a bad league, but yeah, it doesn't appear to me that they have it. Still, though, who knows? I mean, we've already seen 2 times, 2 teams unable to close things out for their 3rd map. Maybe 3rd time's the charm. Either way, for this round in particular, that realist is screaming at me. Yeah, did you hear that? That was it. That was the voice. You guys heard that, right? Right? Okay.
Yeah, no. I heard. Well, it could have also been my voice too. I have plenty of them going around. You know, I just heard a voice scream at me, "Ace!" So it's an ace for Orcs for Orcs Nuops as they break away from the tie early, getting that 3-point lead right now, and they could look to try to ace this one out completely from here on out and close out the map really quickly. Again, I've always liked to. I have friends from Brazil, so I always love to see that scoreboard when I see a 7-1 and just scream out Brazil, just to remind them back in the day of a good football match. But anyway, Niko not letting that happen right now as he's currently up in front. Okay, I really can't say people's names, man. Every time. Just Bosbez up in front. Stop it. Get some help. Bosbez is up in front now. Tween a little bit farther behind, 0.4 behind. He's not too far enough where he won't make a difference if Niko or Nico make any mistakes as we go into the half pipe, into a jump. Actually, Tween is making a push. He doesn't have enough speed, though. So, okay. Never mind. Dude,
Get ready to be proven wrong. Tween decides what happens, and he decided right there, Nako, you're going to hit clip just a little bit right before the finish line to make sure that I come out before. And you know what? He said it happened. That is going to be a victory for Orcs GP Nuops. 6-2. So we're not getting that 7-1 score line. Fortunately for our players right here, none of them are German, so I'm sure they wouldn't notice it even if it did. Still though, everybody getting into the 360. Nico is the one currently lagging behind just a little bit, and Nako decides to just keep it to a 180. That ain't gonna cut it.
Yeah, it happens. That part's a little weird because you also have to deal with curves. So sometimes your car just doesn't want to rotate. And unfortunately for Nako, just staring at his opponents and going like, guys, please help, as he could not turn around, falling out of this race practically. And so it is down to Nico to try and fight for that P1, put it into a draw, and potentially slow down any of the bleeding that is currently happening that Orcs Nuops. Oh, not enough speed. But yeah, Orcs Nuops is... You know, they took the hammer now and they put the nail in the coffin, and now they're turning around and going, oh, we meant to put the bodies in the coffin. So now they're working on the bodies. And unfortunately for TXO, it is not looking good. Orcs GP, Orcs GP needing an 8. Oh, God, I'm so tired right now. I'm sorry. It is early in America right now. But Orcs GP need a victory, which they have proven to be able to do over and over again. So now... can TXO turn around? We have actually seen both players, when they don't make a mistake, have really good pace. Like, they could shut this one down. Never mind. Thanks, Nanko. I can't. Anyway.
I enjoy your cult of confidence in this situation, but unfortunately, confidence is simply not the thing that is in their favor at all. Once again, a mistake happening, right? It's just unfortunate to see, but it is the reality of the situation. Tween slowing down a little bit, though, right before that. No break sector could mean a positive result for TXO, but Bozbez is doing what he needs to do. He is covering things up. He's making sure that you are fighting in a duo, you are playing in a duo, and if your teammate does have an error, you make sure that you are the one to keep the momentum going, keep the pace going in your favor.
What?
And it looks like Bozbez is going to be able to cross the finish line, only just in first place. And it's coming down to that final checkpoint. Tween crosses it, and he knows what he needed to do. He has done it. Even if it doesn't cross the finish line, it is going to be a victory due to that final checkpoint. And Orcs, GP, Numa Wops are going to be moving on to the grand finals. TXO is going to be 5W's opponent, and I'm worried for them.
Yeah, I mean, 5W looking good. TXO not looking so good. Maybe the pressure is going to be a little bit less for them because they are going up against a Div 2 team. Maybe they'll feel like, oh, all right, you know what? That was a rough team. That was a tough team. I mean, you are versing some pretty well-known names. Not saying anyone is not well-known in this competition, but I mean, it's Tween. Like, if you've been in Trackmania for any time, you know who Tween is, especially if you've never been in the esports. But I think it's time that we bring in our analyst desk, which would be Babs. Oh, right, we're getting pulled into that one too. So, Babs, you got any comments?
I am the analyst desk.
Why am I over here? I was just there.
Flying across the room. Flying across the room randomized as Nyko was flying across the track on Thriller. Not a great showing from Thrive x Oserve, and honestly, randomized, I'm concerned about the impact that your caster curses are having on these matches. People are gonna complain. They're gonna get concerned.
Yeah, I mean, if you there is a beautiful clip that was on the YouTube, which, by the way, check out the Beacon YouTube. We've been uploading all of the VODs there, as well as throwing a bunch of clips out there so you can check out even the small little snippets of all the matches. And there is a clip of me freaking out where I actually closed my eyes and tried to cast to avoid caster cursing, and somehow I still pulled it off. I don't know. Everyone's going to kick me out. I'm never going to cast again. This is my last time. Bye, guys. It was fun.
It's a skill that very few possess. Maybe even a curse. And I hope it's not one that can be passed on to anybody else, as we are in close proximity. But, okay, I think the last two matches that we've seen, 5W 3-0, Orcs GP 3-0. We haven't had a match where the losing team has gotten a map yet today.
No.
And we've had 4 matches all day. I think it just shows that there are levels to this competition, and some teams are on another level. I'd say at the moment, 5W and Orcs GP would be the two favorites to make it to that grand final. Do you think that's fair, Boney?
Yeah, I think in the case of TXO, it just didn't come together, right? They aren't showing as practice as you would expect from a Div 1 team. Again, they did miss out on last week, and maybe that has cut into their practice, but at the same time, it just isn't what you want. It's what you need, and maybe, they tried to make something happen. Maybe that Mander pick was hoping that the practice wasn't on the side of Tween and Bozbez, but honestly, it's looking quite dire, and 5W, yeah, I think this is definitely the favorite coming into our next match.
Yeah, I was saying it watching that 5W match, that 5W, dare I say, they're looking like a Div 1 team. They look like a team who could be challenging those Div 1 teams, and they've looked better and better across the season. Do you think at this point in time, randomized, do you think that they're the favorites, or are Orcs GP coming down from Division 1 still the favorites?
That is a really hard call. I mean, personally, I thought 5W should have been in Div 1 no matter what. It kind of sucks that we're only going to be taking one team in the promo rel today to go back into Div 1 or to jump up into Div 1, depending on which team is going in. I gotta be honest, though. I think with the experience that Tween has and how Bozbez has been growing more and more in esports of Trackmania, part of me wants to say 5W will take it, but I don't know, man. Orcs GP Numo Ops, I've ragged on Tween enough, and he has shunned me up multiple times. He's the one player I cannot cast or curse. I think Orcs is going to get back into Div 1.
I mean, fair enough. We do have Tween who is going to be joining us, so he's going to be telling you, are you caster cursing, or is it Tween that decides what happens in these matches? Well, we will get Tween straight in, and we will thank him for joining us after a 3-0 comfortable win against Thrive and Oserve. We'll be heading to the grand final, but who will they be facing? Well, that's what we're going to find out pretty soon. Let's get Tween in for that interview, and let's ask him a few questions about how that match just panned out from their point of view. You were saying Randomize, it was a difficult league phase season for them. But, in the postseason, these matches that are elimination matches, it is very different. It's a different kettle of fish, and you do need to approach it differently. As you said, Tween, very much an experienced player. Let's get him on the broadcast. Let's ask him those few questions. Tween, thank you so much for joining us. How did that match pan out? A 3-0. Did you expect a bit more of a fight from Thrive Oserve?
Well, hello there. Thanks for having me. Well, I was really I would say, I think we are kind of getting in the groove now, as me and Boz especially, and it feels like we are performing now with this ease that we would like to have during the league phase. So. Yeah, we were confident going into the match. Obviously, Thrive and Oserve, a strong team, but from the get-go, we also had the advantage of playing Orbit, where it's a map we were comfortable on, and even though we were kind of having a rough time there, we still just kept our footing in the match, and we found our groove there, and from then on, we just felt really confident.
And Randomize spoke about it on the broadcast, that in these sorts of matches where one team sort of performs higher, did you feel like you guys won that match, or was it more Thrive and Oserve who lost it?
Oh, really, we just played our game at this point. I mean, as I said, it's kind of, there's this ease that we now have playing, I think. And I mean, if we were challenged on pace a lot more, then we maybe would have started to struggle, but I think it's really about the confidence we had, and that's how we got through it pretty cleanly, and it was a nice match though.
Yeah. Speaking of confidence in that, Rob, you're looking forward to seeing who comes out of the next match. Is it TXO versus 5W? How do you think that'll go out, right? In terms of predictions, obviously one of these two seeds are going to come out of it. Do you expect to get the rematch versus TXO, or are you calculating 5W into your plans in that regard? How are you looking forward to that? Now, you've got a bit of time. Not sure how much you've been looking at the matches while preparing for your match.
Yeah, I've seen the first match, and I mean, really the momentum is on the side of 5W, but I think it's just a slight edge that they have, and I'm looking forward to that match. I would probably favor 5W slightly, especially because they're just I suppose there's more fire in them, if that makes sense, coming from the loser bracket, and they knew going into the day that they're going to have a long day ahead of them, so they seem ready for that, but anything can happen, and Thrive and Oserve can work their way back, so.
Okay. Now, I gotta say, next match is happening shortly, right? Thrive, Oserve versus 5W. I'm gonna throw my prediction out early. I'm gonna say 5W is gonna win this one, and that will be the team you are gonna be taking on for your spot in Div 1. Now, I gotta ask, and I don't want you to reveal the grand scheme, but is there a strategy going up against 5W? Do you guys know what maps you're looking to pick and choose, or are you just kind of winging it and hoping for the best?
As I said, I think we're playing our game now. we're not going to be changing up too many things. Like obviously there's going to be a different pick against us, but I mean it might even be the same one Mander. So I think the match, like in terms of how we're going to approach it, is going to be very similar. Even if it's 5W, if it's Thrive and Observe, then we're probably not going to be changing up too many things. But yeah, I mean, we're just going to keep trying to play the same level, try to think about how to preserve some energy, because like I think also during league play for us it was pretty difficult to keep up with the matches, and you know, especially on days where we played 3 matches. Yeah, now we have a short break, so we're going to do the best use that we can have for that, and come back being strong and energized.
Well, Tween, the plan has worked so far. You've got 1 match left, and we have to decide who your opponent is going to be, and if that plan is going to work again. If so, then we'll see you back on the broadcast, maybe for another interview. Wish you the best of luck, and maybe we'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, and enjoy the games, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And with that interview wrapped up, we are going to send it to a very short break, but we will be getting into our next match, which is going to be Thrive x Oser facing off against 5W for that last spot in the grand final of Promo Relegation. See you soon.
I've been waiting for somebody just like you, seeing all the colors, no more shades of blue. You picked me up from nothing, and now I'm feeling something. I've been waiting for somebody just like you.
Haven't got ready in a while. That's why you missing smiles. Haven't had somebody take you out and show you worth your while. Friday night you staying in. Where's the fun in missing friends? Worked all day and cry all night. I think you need somewhere to send. Shy in public but a threat. All these girls will stare and check at you. At first sight I lost my breath, 'cause I've never seen someone like you.
I've been waiting for somebody just like you, seeing all the colors, no more shades of blue. You picked me up from nothing, and now I'm feeling something. I've been waiting for somebody just like you. Just like
Well, we're right back into it, and we're kicking things off. We're keeping this show on the road. 3 zeros all the way so far. Only aces from everybody. Every winning team well, looking to close it out quite quickly. They have had a long season and they don't want to prolong it any further. But we do have one final decider match, one elimination match to decide who will go to that grand final of the promo relegation and face off against Orcs GP Numowaps. Let's take a look at the matches that we've seen so far today and look at those results. Who is going to be favoured going into this one? Obviously, Boney, you just commentated on that last Orcs GP versus Thrive X Oserve. We were speaking about that poor performance from TXO. What do they need to do differently going into this match against 5W?
Good question. I don't think it's necessarily a matter of confidence, right? There's not a lot they can do about pace, right? Pace is what it is. They are just at the pace that they are, but it's really been the consistency that's been hurting them across the board. Just not being able to stay together as a duo, stay together as a team. It's just a bit more, I want to say, feeling too much pressure, right? Feeling too much like they have to risk, like they have to go for it. And so far it's been biting them in the butt many times already. You saw that happening, especially towards the later halves of their match against Orcs GP Numowaps, just losing grip of their situation, losing grip of their destiny in some ways, if I really want to extrapolate it and make it larger than it maybe is. Either way, it's really just a matter of cleaning things up, using this time to focus back up and keep that composure.
Well, I think the players are getting ready in the server, so we're not going to delay it much longer. Boney, as you are going to be leaving us at this point, I am going to have to ask you for a prediction between these two teams. Who is heading to the grand final?
I'm going to have to give it to 5W. They just look so good.
I mean, listen, fair enough. 5W, they have looked like they've increased their performance throughout the season and they've brought the fire heading into promo relegation. Boney, we are going to say goodbye to you and we are going to head over to our casters who are already here. That's Legion and myself.
Hi, Babs.
Legion.
How you doing?
Hi, Legion. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's a lot less Dutch in here now.
But still just a little tad American.
Oh, of course. You can't get rid of us. We're everywhere.
A staple of the Beacon broadcast. I think the players are getting ready. We are going to be starting very shortly and we are going to be heading into that pick and ban phase. I'm going to be interested to see if Thrive and Oserve are going to do anything differently. They picked Mander as their first pick against Orcs GP Numowaps. It didn't really pay off. It seemed like Nyko was quite shaky there. Do they just flip the script and go for something, completely different?
I don't know, because part of me says just do the same thing, get the bad map out of the way, and then, bank on the rest of the series. But the other half of me is saying, hey, if you're bad on that map, maybe just leave it for a random or the decider map and try to get a lead early on your other picks. Because, if you end up losing the first map on a map you hate or you're not expected to win, your mental isn't really that far gone. But that can spell out a lot of problems because now you're at an immediate disadvantage. You're not at a best of 3, thankfully, but a best of 5 still. That losing one map can be the difference between winning and losing. And we've seen a lot of series go down to something like that being decided by that one map.
Yeah, and the thing that struck me with TXO is it seems like they're a momentum-based team. Obviously, we know both of these players have the pace to contend, with the Division 1 teams as they were in Division 1, but it just really hasn't come together at the right times, at the right points for both of the players to get those points on the board and to win any of these matches. Obviously, very unfortunate that they had to forfeit their last matches of the season. This is the time to pick it up, and I'm wondering if maybe, a map 1 goes their way, can they pick it up? Does the momentum swing in their favor and suddenly they peak at the right moment? I think that's what's going to need to happen if they're going to want to take down 5W.
Yeah, 5W is, I'd say they've really been the team to beat, it feels like. Yeah. They've been incredibly consistent, very, a big threat on the track, really. So, yeah, it's for Thrive, they have to, like you said, they got to turn it around. They got to get the momentum back in their favor, and we are just going to go right into the pick and ban phase. And already, we have seen the Thrive squad going with Thriller for their first choice.
Yeah, it's switching it up a little bit. Thriller, we mentioned that it is kind of that wildcard pick in this map pack, that one that can go either way. Very mistake heavy from teams. So maybe just throwing that one in there and thinking, if we can get a win there, if we can sneak one out, then maybe we can build on that into the rest of the next match. Well, 5W, they're going to pick Mander, which was TXO's pick in that last match, which didn't go their way. And I wonder if 5W were watching that, well, actually, if they were watching that and saying, you know, we can take them down. They didn't look very strong. We can play better than them on Mander.
I think that is exactly what they are doing. It's when you're these other teams and you have the chance to take a step back and actually watch what your opponent is doing, you're going to, you know, figure out where are they weak, where are they strong, what to avoid, what to go in on. And I think that's exactly what that is with the Mander pick, to sort of just say, hey, that was a really neat idea. It didn't work out, but we're feeling very confident here, so we might as well use that to our advantage.
Yeah, and backing it up then, in third place is going to be Marabella. Thrive Oserve then picks Skelear for fourth. And our fifth random pick was going to be Orbit. So those are the 5 maps for this match. Let's hope TXO can pick it up against 5W and make it a thriller.
Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play.
The second most thrilling match of the day, in my opinion, is underway. 5W looking to claw their way into Division 1. Thrive trying to hold on to that spot. They are just coming off of a loss here, and it's going to be on a map that they themselves are feeling maybe a bit confident on here. But at the start, Nako has made the first mistake, and Nico has also started to mess up as he's really struggling with the 360. So for Jan and Marsley, I gotta say, starting with an ace if you can, that's going to be a really good way to get the ball rolling.
Oh man, it's not a good start for TXO. I'm worried about them really in this one. They didn't show their best side against OXGP Numo Ups, and they really need to do that if they want to be even challenging 5W in this one. I will give everybody a warning. I may go full, you know, French fanboy on this one and celebrate any TXO win that we see, because at the moment, round 1 isn't giving any indication that they are going to be coming through often. Jan and Marsley, they take either side of the finish, parade through the finish line, 3-0 to kick things off.
How about that for a time split between them? What is that, 14 thousandths of a second? So they are already locked in. And with you effectively playing the TXO side, I'm going to play the 5W side just to keep things even here on the booth for once.
Fine. Let's just make it the most biased cast we've ever seen on a Beacon stream. But
all right, deal.
I mean, you know, if one of these sides can pull it off, if TXO can get into this one and show the pace, but also, more importantly, the consistency that they need to against 5W, well, they can maybe make something happen. At least in this round, it's looking a little bit better than round 1. Naiko with a lovely 360 makes it through, and combined with a mistake from Jan, they are currently in the ace formation.
They are, but not a lot of speed out of the water. Marsley swims right up in between the two Frenchmen, and while not getting an overtake just quite, you can see just how close the gaps are. 300ths of a second. Marsley down the inside into the lead. He's gonna get that engine back on sooner, get the acceleration going now into the quarter pipe jump. Marsley's gonna go pretty low here, but how about the line there behind him from Nico, who does get the overtake. Into the risky we go. Marsley, from getting a draw to getting a defeat in the round, it was that close, but luckily 5W still ahead by 2 points.
Yes, what a round there from TXO. It was consistent, and we had that push from Nico. Marsley had a great middle section of the map to take over that first place, but Nico thought, you know what, this is one of our chances. We need to capitalize on these rounds, and he was able to pull it off and make it happen. Fortunately, Nico a little bit slower in the start of round 3, takes a wide line. He's going to have good speed into this 360, but he's going to need a tight line if he wants to catch up to the pack ahead. Jan and Marsley, they're pretty much one car, the two players from 5W, and they want to make up for the mistakes that happened in that previous round, especially Jan. He sends it into the wall, that iconic line that he brought out in open qualifiers. The wall hit, slows him down, gets around the corner, and both members are looking fast, they're looking consistent, and they're looking unlikely to make a mistake here.
I know, it's tandem basically here for these guys. I mean, look at this. Through the checkpoint, they're dead even. I mean, if these were two guys on two different teams, yeah, it'd be a little bit more interesting. But the fact that these are teammates, these are guys flying under the same banner, and they're doing this? Like, come on.
Man, that was a ridiculous round. That was almost, one player, two inputs. Basically the same round from Marsley and Jan, and that's their second ace of the match to already extend that lead to 5 points against the French players. Already looking like they're on, track point. They can close out this first track and send, Thrive and Osurf to a really difficult position. I was saying they need to come out firing. They need to come out with a good performance on track 1 if they want to have a say in this match. Well, they're going to have a say in this round. Hopefully, it's a better start from both players. Nico leads us into the 360, but does he get a nice line? Yes, he does! Oh. And Jan does not get the rotation he needs, but also Nico and Marsley, who are a little bit further behind. So Nico is off to the races. Nico is in second place, and he has a second gap to Marsley.
That was, I gotta say, that was a spectacular series of unfortunate events, just one after another, and it's only Nico that gets out of this one scot-free. 2.5 seconds just about, and we'll say roughly that as his teammate comes through, but barring some sort of massive blunder from either of the TXO guys, we should be seeing the first ace come out from them. Yes, we will. And Marsley got a little bit greedy on the inside. Thankfully, nothing too unfortunate came of it, but TXO right back in it.
Yeah, shortens that lead from 5 points down to only 2. And a 105.3, a nice little confidence builder from Nico there as well. The fastest time that we've had in the match so far. So he shows, he can contend with these times. He can contend with 5W. Can he do it when they don't make mistakes? However, Jan, there is one. Marsley's a bit slow off the start. TXO, this is your chance to make a memorable comeback on Thriller. And this is maybe the reason this map was picked.
It's a pendulum, really. I've noticed it, and I'm sure so many other people have noticed it throughout this competition, that Thriller is the great equalizer of a map. I think it has proven to be one of the most rewarding, but also one of the most punishing at the same time. I know we've had some maps that some would consider harder, some would consider easier, but I think if you really want a true sort of middle ground of both while still being a big part of the competition, yeah, Thriller is probably that map. There's plenty of spots to overtake. Oh, and does Jan have an overtake? Speaking of which, yes, he does, because Nico misses the risky. So this will be a 9-6 scoreline, and there goes the pendulum.
There goes the pendulum, the nice pendulum. Well, it's an unfortunate mistake from Nico there at the end to give away the victory, but more importantly, they're still in this. They can still win this track, but it has to be an ace in this round. That is what is required. That is what is necessary for TXO to stay in this match on Thriller. Jan and Marsley, a good start from both of them. Jan is going to get a lot of speed into the engine off section. He's going to take over that first spot from Nico, but there's really nothing to separate these 4 players. This 360, it has caused a lot of separation so far. Jan sends it. Nico makes a mistake. Could this be all she wrote on Thriller? It seems like it will be. Jan and Marsley, when they're in these positions, when they're in 1 of 2, it seems like they have the comms, they have the consistency, and they rely on each other, and they know what to do in these situations to close it out.
Yeah, they rely on each other, but not so much to where it becomes a detriment to the team, as we see another touch. And yeah, this might be it. Jan and Marsley, I mean, coming out of the gate, I feel like saying that they come out of the gate swinging is an understatement, because they have absolutely gone ahead and run a clinic on the TXO guys. This is not the start Rive needs, like you said. This is their map pick, and they know the next map is their opponent pick, and they know that the next map is one that they themselves did not do too well on.
Yeah, they really didn't against Orcs GP, but 5W across today, they have looked stellar. They have come into this day, it looks like they have a statement to make, you know, that they should have been in Division 1. At least that's what they think, and that's what they think they deserved. Well, they're proving it here in promo relegation that they have a shot at that throne. And I wonder what Orcs GP Nuba Wops are thinking looking at this match, because that was a really good performance from them on Thriller, and they definitely have the pace to contend with them. But do they have the pace to contend with them on our next map, which is going to be Mander?
They watch, we slip, new phone, do this, who cares, move it, you know how we do this. You know how we do this. Hands up, eating, you lights, shooting.
Welcome to Mander, and welcome to map 2 of this match between TXO and 5W. It's a clean start from everyone. Nico, 0.2 off the pace as we head in to this ice slide, able to catch up a slightly, maybe not Nico, his teammate takes the lead. Nico is further behind. Well, Nico, he's left to his own devices against these two players from 5W. It's a lovely start from Marsley. Nice entry into the dirt. A little bit bumpy from Jan, so he is going to lose a little bit of speed on this exit. But most importantly, Nico is nipping at the heels of Marsley. Ideally, he'd like to get up into that first position and get the draw, avoid that victory and that first point deficit after round 1. That's a tight line from the French player. He actually loses time to Marsley. It's looking increasingly like 5W are going to take a victory in this first round, barring any mistakes in the end. And we've seen many mistakes come through on this map. It is a challenging end. Marsley keeps it clean for the moment. Nico is there looking for an opportunity, but it is not going to come. Marsley keeps it clean. 0.4 to begin our run of show on Mander, and Jan close behind gains that victory for 5W. It's 2-1 after round 1.
Nico, you saw only 6/10, so despite his blunder at the start, he actually kept up with the pack pretty well. Unfortunately, really wasn't able to convert that into anything more usable than a single point, but it at least shows that he has that ability to be quick. It's just, you know, avoiding a mistake, and obviously you can say that for anybody, but I feel like Nico especially can get the job done. But we are seeing Marsley up front. Jan is in hot pursuit, gets one French player dispatched, but he's gonna clip the side, so he's gonna have to leave it all on his German teammate Marsley, who right now is being absolutely dogpiled here. Nico and Nako, both of them looking to gain some more spots, gain some more points. If they get the ace here, it'll be a 4-2 start for them, which if you're coming off of last map of Thriller, this would be a perfect way to get Mander going. But Marsley, not a pushover, gonna go into the risky, and he's got a slightly different line, does get the overtake, and we have lost one of the French players, but into the risky finish we go. Marsley will keep it clean, and Nako has to go for the safe finish, and Jan, a 10th back, maybe could have sniped it.
That was very, very close. That feels like an opportunity missed for TXO. One of those that you want to at least get a victory in a round like that, but Marsley kept his cool really, really well. Something that we saw in the previous matches of the day from LGB was that one player made a mistake on this. They felt it was too punishing, and they would just stop driving and they would give calls to their teammate. It did work out in some of those rounds where either Novu or Vortax was able to ultimately get that first position, but at the moment it is 5W who are back in those last positions, in 3rd and 4th, and staring down the barrel of a TXO ace. And that's exactly what the French players are going to be hoping for. They're keeping it clean through the dirt, pretty much following each other's lines, but similarly so are 5W just behind, only 0.2, 0.3 off the pace as we're heading into the last part of the map.
Yep, and Ace here would tip the scales, and you think when they faced off against Orcs how much of a problem this map was. But it seems like the second time around, I guess if they don't pick the map, then it goes their way, because they're doing exactly what 5W was doing pretty much all of Thriller, and that is driving the same line. Nico with the touch! Nico with the touch! Are you kidding me? Jans into the jump! Is this going to be the draw? Yes, it is! 5W! The luck of the draw, and it goes their way?
Draw.
Man. 2 rounds in a row where really they should be getting more out of those rounds. I wonder if Randomize is secretly commentating in the background and he's just mentioned the Thrivex Osurf name, and suddenly it's a crash fiesta from the 2 French players. A really unfortunate way to lose the ace. That would have been a great confidence builder for the 2 players to get back into this match. Let's not forget, there's only 1 map difference so far. It's only 1-0 to 5W. Nothing is set in stone, and still they have a chance to prove themselves.
Yes, they do. It's not over yet. Best of 5 means we could go all the way to that 5th map. It just depends, of course, on how every single player gets the job done. And right now, 5W, a huge 180 from their Thriller, where they were ahead and stayed ahead and really didn't have any worries of being overtaken in points. But here on Mander, it's a lot different now. Only 1 point separates the 2 teams. Nico's leading the way ahead of Jan, and then it's Marsley and Nako right now battling over P3. If they can stay like this, it would be yet another draw, but any overtakes from either side could spell the end. Nako's going to go a lot wider on the risking, and it is going to be another draw here. Nico barely sneaks it in there for first place.
Man, opposite fates there for Nico and Niko. Nico was able to get that first position, get the snipe on to 5W. Unfortunately, his teammate just dropped behind, went a bit too wide on the entry to the finish and had to take the safe finish. So it is yet another draw, yet another round where Thrive and Osurf could have hoped for a little bit more. But still, it's only 5-4 in the favor of 5W in this one. There's a mistake coming through from Niko. It's not that costly though. He is still in this one. Marsley is leading us into the dirt. Nico, what a beautiful nose slide to catch up to the German player. And he is going to carry that speed into this section. Momentarily takes over first place from Marsley. But they are battling. They are tied together as we're heading into the end. Behind them, Jan looks on, hoping for an opportunity or maybe even a mistake from Nico. He's shown that he has the pace, but does he have the consistency to keep it clean? Even Niko is looking ahead. Maybe a mistake from one of the 5W players could tip the scales in their favor in this one. Jan pushes it with a lot of speed into the end. Nico, it's so important that he keeps it clean, but actually he gets the overtake onto Marsley. Is he going to get to the finish in first? Oh my word, 0.002 of a second on the line. And Marsley and Jan, another victory goes in their favor.
And right into match point for track point for 5W. You talked about the no slide on the dirt. I know you didn't see it, but Nako did the exact same thing and cut the deficit, I think, in about half through the checkpoint. So that is very good if you're Thrive, because that is a bit of a point of concern if you're 5W, that you need to make sure you're doing the same thing, if not better than them, to keep your spots. And right now we'll see just how well it's done, and it looks like, yeah, the French duo do that no slide a lot better.
Yeah, they keep gaining on that section, maybe telling of the position that both of these teams are in. You know, 5W, let's not forget, they have that 2-point lead and they have a map lead as well. Whereas TXO, they're trying to push, they're trying to get anything they can out of this one. Once again, it's a similar story. It's Marsley standing in their way, and Jan is trying to add himself to that fight. There's a clip from Nico, a little bit wide, a little bit bumpy on the dirt, and he leaves it up to Niko. He needs to avoid the ace if they want to stay in this one. He's currently got that second position. It's really important that he maintains it. Marsley's a little bit slow on the plastic. Does Niko have the speed to overtake?
Oh!
Just on the line, half a tenth between the two players. How many times is this gonna happen?
I don't know. I stopped counting after 0. I find it's usually better to do that. But what a lucky run in there coming from Nako to just pip out third place. It's not the victory, it's not the ace, it is a draw. It's still something for both teams, but of course TXO they are behind. They are still down, and they need to be getting some points. They have to get a victory here to at least go one more. Obviously, an ace would do the same thing, and so would a draw, but if an ace or a victory goes the way of 5W, it could be over. Nako, great start from him. He is right now the only one holding 5W back from taking map number 2, as Nico has had a huge error, is 6 seconds, probably more than that, behind, but it is still, and a mistake from Jan. So, if Marsley gets an overtake at all on Nako, this will be it. We will go to map 3, but if Nako can stay put, we will go again for one more round. Onto the plastic with the reactor boost, onto the grass. It's such a tricky line, but it is Nako that does it well. The draw coming out, but an even worse spot now for Thrive.
I mean, even worse, but at least they are on track point. At least they have a shot in this one. That was a really impressive round from Niko. It's good that he's been able to fight back from those difficult performances, maybe in the last match, maybe in the first map of this one as well. And he has shown that he has the pace, and there was able to keep his cool to stay in this one, give Thrive Osurf a chance of winning. What a tight line from Niko going into the ice slide. Almost clips him, manages to keep it on track. It is... Oh, actually, Niko made that mistake. It was Nico who kept it on track. So Niko now 3 seconds off the pace. A draw here for Thrive and Osurf just isn't enough. They would need the ace if they want to stay in this one. Jan and Marsley, we've praised their communication and their awareness in these matches when they know they're in those positions where they don't need to push, they just need to close it out. I think this one might be set in stone.
Well, Nako is not driving at all. He's completely stopped. The ice slide did him in, and he knows there's nothing to be done. This round is more just a formality at this point, it feels like, as Niko is just all over the place. So 5W is going to get the map win here on Mander. They're going to get an ace to close it out. 12-7 is the final score. Nako just doing a little bit of sightseeing here, but for 5W, up 2-0, you won your map pick on Thriller. Or sorry, you won your opponent's map pick of Thriller, and then you come in with your map pick of Mander, which you know your opponent has had problems with. So, if you're Thrive, what's going through your head right now?
I think you're just trying to keep your head in the game. At this point, you know, you've got one last shot to stay in it. You need to do the ultimate comeback. You need to win the next 3 maps to actually stay in the competition. But unfortunately, you know, it's not going to get any easier. We're going to head to Marabella next.
It is do or die for Thrive X Osurf. They are looking at a demotion to Division 2 of the Beacon Dual League. 5W, who has been in the driver's seat for the, so far, every map of this best of 5, are on track to being promoted to Division 1, but of course, they will still have one more team that they'll want to beat. But here on Marabella, and it's sort of the same story we've seen in the last couple of maps. 5W, formation flying, and pretty even checkpoints from the 2 players.
Yeah, absolutely. Is this just going to be a confidence builder for 5W heading into that final match? There was, you know, a valiant effort from TXO on Mander. They seem to show signs of life, you know, what we know they can do, but just fell at the final hurdle. And, you know, is that going to be too much of a letdown for them to come back in this one? Well, Marsley and Jan, they seem to be riding high on that confidence, pulling out a 0.6 in round 1 and a 0.8 to get the ace to kick things off. I think this one might be a quick one.
Well, never say that. You never know what could happen. Well, actually, then you're not randomized, so you might be right. But yeah, for 5W, this is the start that they want, of course, and they have proven it several times. We talked earlier in the broadcast about 5W being, the team that felt like they should have been in Division 1, but they were just not there. Do you think, seeing how they have played throughout the season, how they've played through the promo relegation bracket, do you think we're seeing a new Division 1 team in the works right now?
Honestly, I would have a hard time denying it. I think Marsley started off the season quite strong. He was one of those players that was talked about alongside the likes of Piranha as one of the best players in Division 2. And Jan, despite a few struggles, he quickly joined them at that level, and he has been able to back up his teammate, and that's what has contributed to their strength throughout the league phase, and that's followed over into promo relegation as well. A nice little end by Nico is going to net Thrive and Oserve their first point off the map, but still a strong performance. A nice little 0.4 from Marsley as well, only getting quicker through this one, maybe just testing their pace, knowing what lies ahead, that they're going to have to pull out an equally strong performance, if not stronger, if they want to take down Orcs GP.
Yeah, and Orcs is, despite them finishing 7th overall in Division 1, you have to keep in mind, Division 1 is absolutely no joke. We have some of the biggest names in all of Trackmania competitive in Division 1. And when you have guys who have been playing competitive for a long time and have really, proven that they are a force to be reckoned with, and you put them all in one room, you're going to have guys who inevitably become sort of the runt of the litter. And knowing Division 2 and how this has gone, those slow members, those weaker teams are ripe for the picking. And right now it is 5W who is looking to be sort of the harvester of that position as they yet again get into this 1-2 position. Marsley just body checks the little barrier, didn't have any fragile effect on him, thankfully, so there's going to be no speed loss there, but he's got a much safer gap here to Nico. Another ace for 5W puts it at 8-1, and I think we may be seeing yet another 3-0 as Nico just parks it. This might be it.
Man, if this is, the trend that we're going to see throughout the day, who is going to 3-0 who in the final? Because 5W are looking very, very strong. Orcs GP looks very, very good against Thrive Oserve as well. I find it difficult to see that match go in 3-0, but, as you were saying, referring to Orcs GP as the runt of the litter, it sounds like it does such a disservice to them, but it makes sense. It is such a stacked field in Division 1, and now they're coming up against the best in Division 2. And well, the best of Division 2, you'd be hard pressed to say was not 5W. I think Nico had the wrong line there and decided this one's over with. I'm gonna go on a bit of a scenery tour, explore what the map has to offer besides the track. Leaves Nico up in that second position, but it's victory formation for 5W. This is enough to close it out. Another 3-0 on the board going in their favor and sending them to the grand final of promo relegation. One more drift to go. Can Marsley even get the overtake on Nico? It doesn't look like it's gonna happen. It's a PB from Jan to close it out, and 5W are gonna take this one convincingly against Thrive X Oserve.
They really didn't waste a lot of time. They kind of just said, all right, hi Thrive, we're 5W, nice to meet you, and then just, went in. Nothing. I will be amazed if we see a 3-0 with Orcs and 5W. I don't think it's going to happen. We may see a 3-1, but a 3-0 I don't think is going to happen.
It's going to be, it's going to be very impressive if either team do 3-0, but, I think we have a few things to talk about before that does happen. You know, Orcs GP are waiting for us in that grand final. They are going to be joined by 5W. It was an impressive performance, maybe a little bit shakier on Mander than they would like, but we have to get the thoughts of somebody else to join us on this analyst desk. Let's get randomizing here. Randomize, welcome back. We said it was a tad American on the desk as we headed into the match. Well, now it's overwhelmingly American, and I do feel outnumbered.
Yeah, I mean, good. But unfortunately, there are no Americans that are racing, so we had to take over somewhere.
You can't
Americans-
eliminate us if we're in the booth. See, that's the big brain right there.
Well, I mean, you guys are going to be commentating on that final match, and you know, it's been an interesting day. We've seen, well, only stumps, you know, only 3-0s, but I think we're all expecting this final to be a different story, to be a much tighter affair. We do have a little bit of time before that match is going to start, so, you know, I'm not going to ask you guys for some predictions yet. We will do that in a few minutes, but, you know, is there anything to be said about the opponents that these guys have faced so far? You know, Orcs GP have only played one match, and that's only against Thrive Oserve. That was 5W's third match. Do you think that's going to play a factor going into this, Legion?
Absolutely. Orcs have not had a lot of time in competition here today. Obviously, they just did, played Thrive like you said. 5W, they are in the groove. They are absolutely warmed up, ready to go, and they're, coming out of the gate just firing on all cylinders. So I believe, and I know we're not making predictions yet, but I'm gonna make a prediction anyways. I think 5W can take down Orcs.
Well, it remains to be seen. Randomized, before we send to a break, I do need to ask you, it's a pressing matter, and many people have raised to me in DMs. Were you casting that match in secret?
I knew it. I even said it in the chat, leave me alone. I honestly wasn't paying attention enough to be able to cast a curse. I was focused on it more on ECM, purposely for the reason that I can't see what's going on. So I generally, you can't see it right now, but there is a monitor right here to my right, and it just shows, Isekai Mania. That's it. I was watching the entire match that way because I had the audio on, but I didn't want to see anything because apparently when I see stuff, that's when it goes wrong.
We know from experience that even when you don't see it, something seems to go wrong. But we'll give you a bit of time to settle your nerves, to get comfortable before we head into that match, because we are going to send it to a short little break, but don't go anywhere. After the break, we will have our grand final of the promo relegation. It is going to be 5W and Orcs GP fighting for that spot in Division 1.
I've been waiting for somebody just like you, seeing all the colors, no more shades of blue. You picked me up from nothing, and now I'm feeling something. I've been waiting for somebody just like you.
Haven't got ready in a while. That's why you missing smiles. Haven't had somebody take you out and show you worth your while. Friday night you staying in. Where's the fun in missing friends? Worked all day and cry all night. I think you need somewhere to send. Shy in public but a threat. All these girls will stare and check at you. At first sight I lost my breath, 'cause I've never seen someone like you.
I've been waiting for somebody just like you, seeing all the colors, no more shades of blue.
And we're back. One match remains, one spot in Division 1 remains for next season off the Beacon Duo League. You'd be hard-pressed to say that either of these two teams don't deserve that spot, but we are going to have to decide who does get it. Is it going to be 5W or is it going to be Orcs GP Numa Wops? I am joined by Legion. Now, we've kept it intimate, we've kept it cozy. It's just us two. You can tell me everything you don't like about Randomize, and it'll stay between us.
Well, when it comes to Randomize, he's just he's from New Jersey, so like we can start there, and he kind of plays bad, so that's a bit of an issue. And then he sometimes he thinks that he can like talk to me. It's like, no, he can't do that. My God.
Oh man, you're going to have to get over those fears. You're going to have to get over it because you're going to be speaking with him over this match. But before we get to that, we do need to look through at what matches we've seen today. This was the promo relegation bracket, and well, it's been a quick day. There have been a lot of interesting results. 3-0 in every single match. And the one thing I want to point out at the bottom of your screen there is 5W highlighted in green across the board. Legion, they've really looked impressive. I don't know, I think they might be my favorite going into this one.
I'm right there with you. They've shown that they are deserving of a Division 1 spot. Obviously, with Thrive falling to them, they will go to Division 2. So, with how things have gone for them, yeah, 5W is, the team that I'm going to favor. Although, looking at this matchup of 5W and Orcs, this is probably the best case scenario of unstoppable force meets immovable object.
Yeah, let's take a look at that matchup. The matchup between Orcs GP, Numa Wops, and 5W. Let's bring somebody else in to help us dissect that one as well. As I think it says a lot, the fact that this is promo relegation. This is the grand final of promo relegation. We have Bozbez, Tween, Yan, and Marsley. Like, these guys are fighting for that bottom spot in Division 1. It says a lot about the talent of the players that we have in the Beacon Duo League and the journey that these two teams have been on. Now, Legion, do you think it's going to play a factor, the fact that Orcs GP, they're the ones who've had, poor season. They've, struggled to get going, struggled to get firing, and they've ended up at the bottom of Division 1. Whereas 5W, they've really built on their progress throughout the season, and they're looking even stronger now than they were during the league phase.
Well, if you look at 5W, this is a team that has been on a tear through Division 2. They have shown that they are, the guys who are going to effectively take command of Division 2. But with Orcs here, like you said, not really having the best season, they are in danger of going to Division 2. I think they're going to fight like a cornered animal. They're not going to stop until they are absolutely 100% out of gas. And even then, they'll probably still fire on what fumes they have left. So I think that Orcs is not going to be as much of a pushover as we have seen with some of the other teams. They are absolutely going to make it hell for 5W. And we have to show back from the mothership comes Mr. Randomize. You look like a friggin' pilgrim.
That's what my wife said when she threw it on my head.
Man, what impact is Randomize gonna have on this match? Because he's having a crazy impact on the podcast. I think this is a highlight moment already of this season. Man, both of these teams are going to be hoping that Legion is casting when they're on top and it's not Randomized. Oh, man. Look, Legion, we'll get to Randomize in a second. We'll give him some time, okay?
Yep.
I am going to have to ask you for a prediction in this one. It is our final match of the day, and we've been keeping our energy for this one because it seems like it's going to be the most exciting, the most tight match. Who are you backing?
I am backing 5W all the way. I don't care that Orcs is a Division 1 team is at the bottom and there's going to be a gap. I have to go with 5W on this one.
Randomize, can you say any different, and who is going to be your first curse of this match?
I am so excited that I am finally wearing a tinfoil hat. Normally we tell the players to wear them, but maybe we have to reverse this one and put it on my head. I'm saying it right here, right now, with confidence that 5W will walk away with this one with a 3-0. That's all we saw today. I am not cursing anyone anymore.
I think
let's hope for 5W's sake that the tinfoil hat is stronger than the caster, Chris. I mean, maybe that's the battle that we're all waiting to see in this match. It is going to be 5W versus Orcs GP Numawaps kicking off in just a second, guys. Thank you for your predictions. I am going to leave you at this point. Legion, best of luck. You're going to need it in this one, but take it away.
Thank you, Babs. I will definitely need it with my co-commentator role-playing as a cyberpunk pilgrim here. Yeah, it's going to be interesting because we have two guys who I think are very famous or infamous for our caster curses. So, yeah, this is gonna be a really exciting match. So I am ready for this one to start.
Yeah, no, I made the joke about the 3-0, but in reality, I feel like finally we're going to see a match that could actually go all the way. Both teams looking really good. It's just going to come down to the fact that, like you were saying earlier, right? 5W steamrolling through the lower bracket. They've been 3-0ing everyone that's been getting thrown at them. While, Orcs, GP Numawaps, they had one match. Unfortunately, TXO didn't even look strong. So it was kind of just a walk in the park, taking candy from a baby style win. So you have momentum flying in, and you have a team that is just like, they're just strong naturally. So it's kind of one of those, like, how do you just get ready to take on the beast that is charging at you?
I don't know. Probably not with tinfoil, but I think I feel like experience. It looks very nice on you, I must say. Looking at it, I'm very, very blessed. I think though, looking at it, it's Tween and Bozbaz, two guys who have been doing very well competitively, and then you have Marsley and Jan. Not to discredit them at all, but I think if you just look at sort of the records, the history of all these players, you could obviously make an argument that it is 5W who should be worrying and not Orcs. But anything can happen, especially with these maps. We have seen a lot of rounds get changed in an instant because of one corner and just how much these drivers are going to be pushing. Yeah, it's going to be hard to see, or hard to predict really who the winner is for our last match of the day.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, honestly, a lot of it's going to also come down to that map pick order. Seeing that Orcs Numawaps is coming as the higher seed due to the fact that they are the Div 1 team, I feel like they're going to be able to set themselves up in a better position, but it's going to be still, you're dealing with the fact that, sure, you pick the first map, but your next pick doesn't even show up till map 4. So if you pick your first map, you win it, you then have to deal with the other team's pick and then a random pick. So it's one of those things where Orcs, GP Numawaps have to put themselves in a comfortable position right off the bat. You are dealing with a team coming in with momentum. You need to shut that down quickly. You need to put ice on it so they steam out, and then from there you can kind of balance it out, because if you can beat them and beat them well on your first map pick, then you deal with their map pick, and then you deal with whatever the Beacon Gods has thrown at them as their third map. Who knows? All we've seen was 3-0s. We could just see another 3-0 today. At this point, I don't know. Every time I thought maybe we'll have a close game, never mind. The players decided to go crisscross applesauce and fly off the track. So you never know exactly what's going to happen at this point. We straight out cannot. I can't make a prediction because I don't know what's going to happen.
Well, I'm sticking with my prediction of 5W. I don't think it'll be a 3-0 like we've said. I think, if anything, we will probably go to a map 5. Whatever that decider ends up being. But as hard as it is to call, yeah, I do really think that it is going to be 5W's game to lose. Just because of how they have, or just sort of how their road has been. But we'll have to see what the players and teams decide, because we are going to go right into the pick and ban phase for the last time here in Season 2 of the Beacon Duo League. And for the first pick coming out for Orcs, it is going to be Orbit. And if I'm not mistaken, that's the first time we've seen it, or we'll see it on stream today.
That's a good That's a good say. I'm not 100% sure, but I know for sure the map we'll finally be seeing on the stream is going to be Skelear. I mean, we have been praying for this map to be on the stream more. We love Skelear. I know the players love Skelear, and they definitely love the ending of the map. So seeing 5W throw that one in there, you know, it's one of those like slight jabs, because I feel like, again, I've said it before, Tween, when you throw him into something weird, it's going to be difficult for him to handle that one. But so give yourself kind of a leg up, because if Orcs Nuwap is able to handle it, then you're going to go in 1-1 into the random map, which is Thriller, because Orcs' second pick was in fact Mander, which will be our fourth map, and then ending the match on Marabella if we go all the way to game. So with that being said, we are going to be moving on to the first map pick, which is Orc Nuwap's map pick, Orbit.
Echo of the night, we find solace, we find light in the moment and on. When you hear the music stop, I can see you, I can hear you, and I know that you are strong. You've been dealing with the demons, now you know where you belong. In the echo.
We head to the black hole of oblivion here in the Beacon Duo League promo relegation grand final. Orcs Nuwaps is looking to hold on to their spot in Division number 1, and 5W's looking to get in there. But it is all going to come down to this series. The potential of a 5-game match, or 5-set, has been eluding us for a while, but here we may have our best opportunity right now. Though it is Tween who has lost out and has fallen to last place. Randomize, are you ready for this?
I am so ready for this, and I think the players are up in front definitely are ready for this. Jan makes a small, Marsley makes a small mistake, so it's Bozbez and Jan taking each other up in front as we're going to be coming into the first round of the Orbit itself. And players have been pushing this closer and closer to the edge of the booster, but Jan still up in front. Bozbez tries to go for an inside line. Jan ends up clipping the inside. He's going to have to go the safe, and Marsley will snipe his own teammate, but Tween will be the first player to make a big mistake at the beginning and end up falling 7 seconds behind, and a draw will start off the first round.
Well, if you're Orcs, that's a good way to start it. Your man Tween made that error, and it was Bozbez having to pick up the pieces. So I think best case scenario for Orcs, there you go. And for 5W, obviously they were a bit more clean through that round. So the opportunity of having a 2-1 point advantage did fall just short of the line, but thankfully they were not able to give Orcs any more points than just the 1. But in the second round, it's looking a lot better. Tween making amends for his last round of hardship. And it is Jan finding himself right now in last place, and Tween Bozbez getting an overtake. The ace potentially coming up here. We'll have to see, though, especially with some of these more tight technical sections coming up.
Yeah, Tween, with the early mistake last round, looking a lot better this round. As you said, the tight technical parts here. Everyone trying to push as much as they can in. Bozbez ends up going a little bit wide, and that's going to let both players on 5W to jump up into P2 and P3. Between able to recover from last round and stay in front with a pretty good marginal lead of a 0.2 lead. And that's going to be another draw. Orcs Nuwap looked a little shaky at the beginning for 2 rounds. Both players were able to help out the other player's mistake, which is very important here in a team-based event. And as I say that, 5W ends up losing a player early. So now it's going to be down to Jan to take on both of these players. And if he wants to keep the scores close, he's going to have to try to push for that draw. It's currently sitting in P2.
But there are still possible mistakes that the Orcs lineup can make. Jan has gotten the overtake, but goes very wide there at the jump, so that'll invite Bozbez back through. Same with Tween. We are potentially going to see the first ace here come out on the side of Orcs, as Marsley's fallen about half a second behind everybody, trying to catch up wherever he can. Jan is starting to push a little bit, probably getting a call from somebody to start pushing. And as we go around and around the black hole, Jan gets the overtake, maybe possibly on Tween. No, it's a thousandth of a second. He's going to set his drift up a little bit wider. He will get the overtake, but Bozbez stays ahead in first and guarantees that round victory for Orcs. So the first point differential we have seen comes here in round number 3, 1.4 to 3. Orcs GP take the lead here, and we are not even halfway to points yet.
Yeah, no, I mean, a really good play as Tween was able to really make some difference between both teams. And 5W, not out of it yet, only down by 1, but seeing how there's always been someone on Nuwaps up ahead and with a demanding lead is looking a little scary for 5W going into our next round here, round number 4. Marsley trying to find any opening he can, but both Tween and Bozbez being a strong wall. And every time Marsley feels like he's about to get in there, Bozbez is starting to deny that one. A little scary as he goes a little bit wider, but still able to keep a good, clean line. Marsley still trying to find any opening possible, really push those lines on the inside. Jan in the back ends up bumping, so he's going to be out of this one. And it's going to come down to Marsley if he's going to be able to look for a draw, but he's too far back. Again, this is what I mean. Someone on Orcs Numoap is able to push away, and it was Tween this time, again, looking to get farther. 0.3 ahead. It's been like 0.2, 0.3 ahead of anyone in P2, even his own teammate Tween is looking to shut 5W down before they can do any damage to them.
We're sort of seeing, not quite the same, but it certainly rhymes with how 5W was playing against Thrive. They were just running up front all day. Somebody from Thrive would get up into sort of that fight for first, and it just wouldn't go their way. So Orcs maybe giving 5W a taste of their own medicine here, just because of the strength, like you said earlier on, Randomized. So another start here, another 1-2 so far for Orcs, and I'm noticing Jan's going very wide at the jump. I think he's just carrying way too much speed through the corner and trying to convert it any way he can, but it's just not working out too well. And Bozbez right back into the mix. Marsley was looking at P2, but Bozbez just finding a little bit more speed. And onto the reactor, it's a very tricky line there. Marsley going wide, so he falls back into last. Around we go. It's Tween still leading the way. Bozbez has to go a little bit wide. That's going to invite Jan in, but I think he might just have enough speed to hold off both of the 5W players. Yes, he does. Not by much, but just enough. And Orcs pulling out the ace, 9-4 here. They just have to draw, and they win the first map.
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly what I was saying earlier. This is what Orcs GP Numops need to do. They have to set the standards before 5W can continue using the momentum they've been building all tournament long. I mean, again, you have elites like Tween and Bozbez really just showing, doesn't matter how many wins you can have in the tournament, when you come up against us, we're going to start doing some work to you. And Tween, again, has just been really dominating this map. Bozbez doing a really good job complimenting him, constantly keeping Marsley out of the race, just pushing him ever so slightly out of this little group that they have. But Jan finally joining the race, and Bozbez will be the farthest one back for the first time in a while. Tween starting to lose that lead as well. Both players are going to be looking to go as tight as they can. We've seen Tween with amazing exit speed every time coming out of this one, building that distance between the players, and with a tight drift that he always is able to pull off. Marsley and Jan don't look like they're going to be able to snipe him, but Bozbez in the back tried and didn't even, he accidentally missed the thing, but didn't matter because Tween held that first place. It's a draw, and it's going to be a 10-5, excuse me. Orcs GP will be the first team to grab a map point.
Yep.
I changed my hat a little bit, by the way.
You did. I like it. And now, see, now if it's sunny, you don't hit the sun in your eyes. But
yeah.
Speaking of sun in their eyes, right now, 5W kind of a little blind to their lines. They couldn't quite see where they were going, but thankfully, 1 map down, potentially 4 to go here. It is going to be 5W's pick, and it is going to be Skelear.
This shit, it ain't go insane.
On to map number 2, and we get to check out Skelear, one of my favorite maps in this competition, as we are on the 5W pick. So now we are looking for 5W to respond after, I don't want to say a beating coming out from Orcs, but especially Tween, who just barely had any mistakes last map, looking really good as we go into this next map. Tween is the front man for Orcs, taking on Marsley, as Jan unfortunately made a mistake earlier and falls farther behind. So now, Tween and Marsley looking to set the standards for our second map. Marsley definitely will want to try and get at least a draw here, as it would be a little rough for you to go into your own map pick and get forced into a victory. Bozbez is going to take P2. I have the hat on, guys. I have the hat on. And I said Bozbez and then Marsley crashed, so maybe it's delayed. I don't know.
And then Bozbez, he clipped the ramp transition. Tween's gonna go
Marsley.
safe. Hold on, Marsley, a little bit of a switchback, but I think Bozbez is not what? So somehow Tween takes the safe finish, gets to the safe fin first, despite the fact that there is slow-mo there, so that would understandably make it a little bit longer of a travel. Bozbez overtakes Marsley by 3,000s, and Orcs gets an ace. That's okay.
Yeah, not ready. I wasn't expecting that.
Randomize, what did you do? What is this caster curse?
The hat's on! The hat's on! I swear to God, I'm not trying to do anything like that, Tween. Again, pushing up front, please. No, I am going to move and change my address, my name, my social security, everything, because these players are going to be coming after me, unfortunately. Jan ends up falling back into P4, but not far at all compared to last round, right behind the pack. Marsley, who was taking on Tween up in front, fell a little bit farther back in the group, and then Tween actually makes a little bit of a mistake. It is a back and forth. Every player takes one good line and then takes a wide line. The next one, other player takes advantage of it, and it's working out in the favor of 5W now, as they are able to get Jan into P3. Marsley right behind Bozbez, but there it is again. One player goes a little bit wide. That would be Bozbez, and that allows Marsley to get up into P1, and then he ends up going a little bit wide, but setting up the line nicely. Everyone has to go in to the risky. Tween is the one who makes a mistake, and Jan is going to snipe his own teammate. It's not going to make that much of a difference, because in the end of the day, Bozbez was the one up in front. That's going to be a draw, as people like to say in the chat. It's going to be 4-1 now. Orcs GP Numwops, they're looking pretty strong, I have to say, and I'm terrified.
I am too, but we can't. Oh, Tween. Uh-oh. Okay, so Tween's
I feel a lot better.
completely bottled it. Yeah, I think he scraped the inside of the wall, so he had no speed, and obviously couldn't get the rotation, so he decides to do a little bit of a bug slide, which I can respect. But yeah, Orcs, they are, of course, they don't want to be shown up by some Division 2 team. No way. So they're not making this easy, but right now with Tween out of the round, Bozbez has to get in between both of these 5W guys or get ahead, just so that way it's not that much of a blow, because if 5W does get that ace, they tie it right back up with 4 points for everybody. But Bozbez is being the cork right now as Marsley goes incredibly inside, but that gives him the widest possible exit. So the sort of tailpipe holding onto that Marsley was doing has completely slipped from his grasp. Jan's going wide. Bozbez back into this. We'll hit the wood here. We'll do the 180 as Jan goes the complete wrong direction. And I don't think he'll be able to recover this. Tween goes safe. So a round victory for Orcs. Jan, what happened?
Oh my goodness, that is so unfortunate. He couldn't get the spin around, and I was gonna say, Legion, that was the first time we saw Jan up in P1. That was the first time we saw Jan actually show what he can do on this map, being way up in front, really showing some good pace on that map. All just to come down to the risky finish and just take his hopes and dreams away. Now, it looks like 5W is going to really have to recover from that one because Jan is up in front. Marsley is able to join up into P3, but Bozbez is the one leading this one, and Tween is the one that's falling a little bit behind. Tween has been the player these past few rounds that has been putting some pressure, but Bozbez in the last 2 rounds has been kind of taking over that role, giving Tween a second to get a breather, as Bozbez now is pushing even farther up. He really was able to get onto the wooden platform and just slingshot himself out of that one and get more speed, and Tween is looking to join him up as well. Marsley starting to fall slightly farther back, but it's going to come down to the end. We have seen so many small mistakes happen, players having to reset. Bozbez is the first one into the risky. He ends up clipping the
touches.
He goes a little wide. Marsley goes for the snipe. He gets it. Are you 1/1000th of a second difference? Marsley was able to snipe him, and Jan will follow up with a nice complimentary P3 and give the victory to 5W.
That is surprisingly not the closest finish we have had so far today. We had one that was quite literally down to the zeros. So we have now had the second. We've actually gone, I think, tied times. We just had the 1000th, and I think we had either a 2 or a 3. So we're slowly getting to greater and greater margins up front. But what a round that was for Orcs and for 5W, right down to the wire. Unfortunate happenings to be found, but you know what? It's the round behind you. Just focus on what's in front of you. And right now, if you're 5W, well, it's a couple of Orcs players, and well, the most prominent one being Tween. He has really come alive. He made one mistake in that first map and then drove perfectly from then on out. And yeah, he's had a couple here as Bozbez falling off the pack. So it is all on Tween right now to ensure that there is at least a point given over to his side. But if Marsley and Jan can get the overtake, they will get the ace and bring it to 7-all. If Tween has a bad entry, Jan does. So does Marsley. Marsley somehow gets first. Tween goes for the safe finish. Jan has to try it again. I think Tween should be good. Yes, he does. Where is Bozbez just getting to the line? Okay. I don't know what's happening anymore. I don't even know. I don't even think the players know what's happening. I think there's so much pressure that they're starting to just struggle. And it is Tween who has the biggest problem, and that puts 5W on track to maybe get the ace and finally get the lead here on map 2.
Yeah, but it's going to come down to Bozbez having to try and defend, force it into another draw, and get that 9-7 round where pretty much you force the pressure onto 5W to ace or bust. And at this point, right now, Marsley is the one making the push. Jan ends up falling behind, so it is all coming down to how Bozbez and Marsley are going to be able to play this one. Marsley extending his lead nicely, really pushing farther. Bozbez constantly sliding. He is not getting the best lines for a player that needs to start catching back up. Marsley extending his lead. He went from tying him up all the way up to a 0.5 lead. Jan ends up falling even farther back, and it actually took a quick peek in the back. Tween is actually catching up to Jan. Jan made an earlier mistake. Bozbez is going to make a mistake. Marsley is going to go for the jump. He's going to be able to get that one. It's now Jan who catches up. Tween is not too far behind. Bozbez is able to clean this one up. Tween as well is going to go for the risky. It's going to be a victory, and that is going to be a very close final round now, as we are 9-8. New Ops just need a victory, or yeah, they need Sorry, Numo, I am exhausted from
Take your time.
what is going on here. Yeah, hi, answer is C. Numops just needs to get a draw, but 5W can also afford to get a victory. And as I say that, I didn't even say your name yet. The cap is working. Bozbez and Tween clearly up in the lead and looking to just pretty much nail the coffin, or nail the... Oh my god. All right, I'm done talking. It's
All right.
early.
Well, Randomize tries to figure out how the English language
is
works.
burning my brain.
You don't have a brain. What do you mean?
I mean, yes, and that's probably part of the reason why I'm struggling to speak. But even as I'm saying that, Jan is starting to catch up to the two guys.
New Jersey education. Anyways, it is Tween and Bozbez 1 and 2. Jan can only do so much. He knows that Marsley is just absolutely not even trying. He knows it's over. He knows that it's lost unless Tween and Bozbez somehow, I don't think it's going to be an issue. Bozbez goes risky. He's going to get that one. Tween's going to go safe. He gets that one, and an ace on the final round for Orcs will secure map number 2, 12-8. I'd also like to mention last round was the first time that we have seen everybody go for the risky fin here on Skelear, but 5W, from being the team that has 3-0'd everybody, is now looking at getting 3-0'd themselves as we go on to Thriller. What do you think's going to happen here, Randomize?
I don't know, man. It is one of the random picks, one of the two random picks. So it's going to really come down to whether or not 5W can bounce back. But we'll have to find out after we check out Thriller.
Don't pause, press play. Don't pause, press play.
It is do or die for 5W. If they can beat Orcs, they will secure their spot in Division number 1. But if they don't, well, Division 2 gets reseeded, and who knows if we'll see them next season in a similar position based on maps and how they perform. But on to the first round of Thriller, and already we have seen a mistake from Marsley, who goes just about a second down. So that does leave Jan all alone up at the front, down the weird quarter pipe into this ice 360. We've seen many players get caught up there, but it seems like your top three have gotten it perfectly. Jan and Tween side by side, they continue to drive. This is a great opening round for them, and Bozbez is only a couple tenths back, but he is still in this, in the fight. And surprisingly, Marsley not gaining as much as we're used to seeing here, but we do have the potential of yet another draw, as Tween having some problems there on the wood section that does promote Jan and Boz up a position very low for the both of them, but into the risky finish. It will be the draw first round, and Marsley, I believe, should be able to make it. Yes, he does. And we are in a bit of a deja vu randomize.
Yeah, I mean, it's so crazy to think that if you're looking at the overall score, it's 2-0, but in the rounds after rounds, they've been so close that it's like the actual series does not do justice for how tight these matches have been. Honestly, Legion, it's incredible to see what these players can do. What I would love to see is someone on 5W not make a mistake early on and have all 4 players in a pack battling it out, but unfortunately Jan is going to make an early mistake, and it looks like Tween ends up going a little bit too much on the inside and clips that one. So it's going to be Bozbez taking on Marsley up in the front, and Jan has caught up to Tween, so we got 2 1v1s happening now. Marsley trying to stay in P1 as Bozbez is just breathing down his neck. Jan was able to jump up into that P3 position. If Marsley can hold, this will be a victory that they definitely need, but it looks like they're switching back and forth in the front and back as Bozbez is trying to push up into that P1 position. It went from a victory for 5W to almost a victory for Numops, but Tween makes a mistake in the back. Jan was able to go to the risky, and that's going to be another draw. 2-2 now as we move on to round 3.
I think we've had more draws in this series alone than I think we've had across, at least it feels like, across all the other matches that have been played, at least the ones on stream. It seems like these guys, it's a pattern though. They start off a few rounds getting some draws, and then somebody gets an ace or a victory, and from there they just run away with it. So for 5W, you might want to start tipping the scales in your favor, so that way you can be the one that is able to at least be the only team to say, hey, we didn't get 3-0'd, but, well, that's it's a lot easier said than done as we head through the Ice 360. Everybody has gotten it perfectly. It is Bozbez, though, who is bringing up the rear, but a lot of single-file racing here from these drivers. It is going to be green, and purple. Not quite the 2 1v1s we saw last round, but very much a 1v1 up at the top. Tween and Jan are duking it out as Tween clips the barrier, and through goes Marsley and Bozbez. Is this the chance for 5W to finally get an ace and gain the lead here? Bozbez does the quarter pipe jump a lot better, but Marsley gets an earlier landing, and I think it will be 5W that gets a much-needed 3 points. Bozbez got more speed out of the quarter pipe, but because Marsley got the transition to the platform just a fraction of a second sooner, he was able to get that acceleration that much sooner and was able to convert that and stay ahead. 5W, this might be the end they need.
Yeah, this is definitely the end that they need, and it's going to be their moment to capitalize on this end, and hopefully we'll be able to go into a map 4, but that would be Orcs GP Numob's second map pick. So even if they make it to map 4, it's going to be a struggle for them to take them on their second map pick. Jan, unfortunately, falling the farthest behind as they come out of the no grip section, and Tween is just pushing up against Marsley's back. Really good job in the no break section, but Marsley was able to kind of recover from the speed and start pushing forward. Bozbez holding that P1, but we've seen this half pipe do work to people as they go up into this one. And Jan actually is going to be joining that fight ever so slightly, but Tween still doing a good job holding that P3. It's going to be another victory, but 5W still holding the lead only by 2 now.
Tell me we haven't seen this before. The first 2 rounds of draws, somebody gets an ace, and then the other team gets a victory the next round. So, yeah, I think we've seen this a good few times now. I'm not saying it's getting old. I'm just, making a comment. But into the next round, yeah, it is the purple pairing of Boz and Tween right now, who are at one point on the back foot, and I think, Jan just, I don't know what happened to Jan. He has to take the safe route, so he'll rejoin right as the players pass by the ice gate, but he is going to be effectively out of this, and Marsley as well. Orcs, this could be the ace to retake the lead and be on full point. Map point, match point, doesn't matter. It's theirs for the taking. They're the final boss for 5W, and right now 5W, they might be out of Estus Flask. They might have 1 charge, and they may have to use it if they want to make this actually work out for them. But Boz and Tween into the quarter pipe, done very well. Marsley just now getting to the scene, gets the transition. So, the ace for Orcs retakes the lead. Randomize, is this the final round?
It could be. It's making me nervous. This tinfoil hat's not really working for me right now. But yeah, we are now at match point for Orcs GP Numops. They need an ace to close this one out. 5W, though, with 6 points, even an ace for them could put that at the actual final round. We could be potentially looking at the penultimate round. We could be looking at the final round. We will only find out as we go further into this track. Bozbez now, actually the farthest one back, but we've seen this 360 claim lives before. Tween with the most speed out of that one, and then makes a mistake as he goes through it. He had really good speed, but the line was just slightly off, and that's going to have Jan up in front. Bozbez went from P4 to P2 because Marsley also had a bit of a slow exit, but Bozbez has been able to put a lot of pressure on these players, even sitting in P2. We've seen him randomly just jump up to P1 over and over again as he is closing in on Jan. If he could take a low jump here, he could build a little bit more speed. No, oh my goodness, Jan made a mistake. And it doesn't look, it's going to be a draw. And it's actually going to be an 8-7. So that was not the penultimate round. But I honestly, I'm a little worried because that kind of looked like a landing bug, unfortunately.
It maybe could have been a landing bug, maybe a slight clip. Really hard to tell in the moment. 5W had the opportunity to tie it up at 8. But unfortunately, we saw it just didn't work. So a victory for Orcs will seal the deal. A victory for 5W will keep things going, as will a draw. But if 5W or Orcs get the ace, this map is over with. And right now, Bozbez is going to be out of this. He had to respawn all the way. Jan, huge blunder there through the ice slide. That will give Bozbez a bit of a gap to close up on, but I don't think it's going to be enough. Marsley holding off Tween. Do we see the final round being a 9-9? Marsley has about quarter of a second here, and Jan struggling in the back. So is Bozbez. Randomized, I don't know.
I mean, it's coming down to this final moment. Marsley has a good lead. He doesn't have to do any extravagant movements or anything, and he does the good play. He's able to keep that one together. Jan is going to also look to complete this round. So we are, in fact, going to a 9-9 round. The pre-overtime is what I like to call this one. It's basically starting overtime here because anything besides a draw will be a win for either team. So if we get a draw, we officially hit that 10-10. We officially hit the overtime. We get to see the cool graphics happen. But if any team has a player in first and third or better, it will be their point. Again, Orcs Numo Ops looking to just close this one out. And just as I say that, we end up losing one of them.
Tween.
That was Tween. Yeah, Tween is just sliding along, trying to survive. So it's down to Bozbez. Jan makes the mistake again. He fails the 360 again. And Tween actually failed it too. I checked in the back. He messed it up. So now Jan and Tween are going to be fighting each other in the back, but it's still a good distance for Jan, so it's going to come down to Marsley. Marsley can shut this one down now, but Bozbez already pretty far ahead, has a shaky drift there. Marsley closes the gap in ever so slightly, but Bozbez still doing a good job, extending away. Marsley probably will going for the lower jump. No, they end up going for about the same line. Bozbez can't make a mistake. He does not make a mistake. It's looking good, and as long as Jan can close this one out, which he will right here, right now, Tween too far behind to catch up. We are officially hitting overtime.
What was have we hit overtime at all at BDL this season? I don't think.
Yes, we have.
We have.
Yes, we have. I believe we have hit overtime during the season. But yeah, this will be our first time seeing it here in the promo relegation.
Well, the nice lady has told us that it is indeed overtime. 10-10 is the score line. Of course, if there's only one team with 10, we'd be moving on or perhaps saying goodbye. But here it is, Tween with that first error again. He is really pushing that corner, and it has not gone his way at all. So, Bozbez, it is up to you to get Jan and Marsley behind you so you can get a draw. And so you can get another round. Jan is pulling away. A little mistake, though. Has reeled Bozbez back into this as he is squabbling with Marsley. Gets one overtake. Does he get the other one? Look at the pressure that Bozbez is putting on Jan and Marsley and how much pressure is being put on him. He needs to stay ahead. He does get the lead here as we go to the reset, but this quarter pipe has proven to be a round decider. Jan is so low on that. I think Jan might have it. He's a little earlier on the platform, and Jan is gonna get first. Marsley gets third. 5W avoiding the 3-0 in a nail biter on none other than Thriller.
Oh man, that was a thriller, if I can say so myself. But 5W finally on the board, and it's the first time we are not getting a 3-0 sweep here in the promo relegation. We are finally seeing a fourth map, but now keep in mind, this is Orcs Numawaps' second map pick. And it could come down to them just feeling a lot more comfortable on their own map pick because 5W, unfortunately, you're the bottom seed. So good luck as we move on to Mander.
They watch, we slip, new phone, who this, who cares, move it, you know how we do this. You know how we do this. Hands up, getting, you lights, shooting.
The first time we've seen a fourth map here in the promo relegations, and it is going to be on Mander. Orcs Numawaps losing an incredibly close battle on Thriller. They still have the series lead at 2-1. However, it is 5W looking to reverse their fortune and come out on top, as we do see a massive hit from Bozbez. He is all the way in the bag. This might be this round for him over with. That does leave Tween with the chance of taking at least a draw, getting us into a familiar set of circumstances, but Marsley is looking quite racy here, and Jan is sitting in the back waiting for any sort of mistake from Tween to capitalize on. But right now, it is the Slovakian player really just hounding his German friend just ahead. And as we head onto the penalty grass, it is going to be 200ths of a second. There is no way that Tween is going to let this one slip as Marsley clips. He's going to go back. Tween goes into the risky. He gets it. Jan gets it. Marsley is going to go safe because he knows Bozbez is too far back to make anything happen. But let me tell you, that crash there at the end, that shows you just how much these players are willing to push.
Yeah, no, I mean, that was insane. And you know the pressure is, at this moment, it is Orcs GP Numawaps that has a lot of pressure on them. You don't want to let the team come in and reverse sweep. We don't see it a lot in Trackmania, but man, oh man, if we could see a reverse sweep happen, it would be sweet to watch. And Bozbez made a mistake here last round and was able to clean up his act and stay in the group, but he's all the way back in P4 with his teammate in P3. Tween is looking to try to make any push possible. Jan just barely holding on into that P2 position. Marsley loses a little bit of speed as well as he kind of took a tiny bit of airtime in that dirt. From what it looked like, he's still able to hold that P1 position. Now the players are going to spread out a little bit as they go off the boost. Marsley, again, still doing a good job holding into that P1 position. This is a lead that 5W definitely needs. Jan trying to find any opening, any gaps that Tween will give him, but it's not looking like so far. Jan is going more and more closer to the inside lines, and it puts him potentially to P2. No, Jan ends up clipping. That's going to put Bozbez into P3. Tween ends up making a mistake. Jan ends up actually cleaning up the mistake that Tween made, and it's going to be a victory. We went right back to normal. It was a victory position the entire time for 5W, and it ended in a victory for 5W. We just swapped places with the purple guys.
Tween just ricocheted off the castle section there. That's why he went off in the sort of diagonal trajectory he did. He really was pushing it too. I don't know if there was a call coming out or if he saw it himself and just decided now was go time, but that is going to be the lead for 5W here as Tween he got a really awkward exit and Bozbez crashes. So 5W, you are running 1 and 2. If you get your 3 points, hey, that's 4 points of a gap to Orcs. And here's the other sweet part about that deal. You're doing it on Orcs pick. This is Orcs' second pick. We had the random map thrown in for map number 3, and 4 will be the decider. But for right now, we saw it with 5W doing something similar to their
Legion.
game against Thrive. Yes.
Isn't this the map that is rumored that Orcs didn't train?
Oh, you know what? You're right. I think this is the map that Orcs didn't train. And how
Maybe it's a
strange
strat.
that it's coming back to them. Maybe, you know what? Actually,
Force it
hold
on,
on.
a game
Sarcasm
5.
aside. Sarcasm aside. Hold on.
Huh?
This might actually be the biggest brain play if you think about it.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
you take your first map, and then your opponent takes gives you their second map. Your opponent gets the random map. You give up your worst map for a second pick, so that way if you do go to a game 5, you don't automatically lose it because you haven't been practicing this map. So this is, I think Orcs just did the biggest 5D chess move I've ever seen.
I'm so glad you caught on to exactly what I was bringing up. Yeah, no, I genuinely think that, or they just think everyone else is gonna make a mistake. All right, listen, guys, 5W, I have the hat on. It ain't me now. This is your fault. Okay. But yeah, no, I generally think that could have been the 5D chess move that Orcs GP Numobs was able to pick. And you know what? I generally say that comes down to experience. Knowing, hey, you know what? This isn't our best map. If we do go to game 5, these guys are looking good. Let's not put it on the map we're going to suffer on. Let's just get it out of the way. Lose the map if we have to, win if we can, and then go to game 5 and take them on what would be, I believe, a much better map for Orcs GP Numob, which, if I remember correctly, it's Marabella. And
yes, it is.
They have looked good on that map, so it may be the play.
Yeah, but you got to think how well 5W has also played Marabella. So this would be Clash of the Titans, and 5W is on track point. We are most likely, barring some incredibly stupid mistakes, going to a game 5 here in the grand final of the promo relegation. As a reminder, if you're just joining us, 5W, should they win here in game 5 on Marabella, they will be promoted to Division 1 for next season's Beacon Duo League. However, if they are unable to beat Orcs in map number 5, they will have to suffer the fate of being reseeded and going back into the pool of Division 2 hopefuls and having to fight their way through that. And with how 5W has been running Division 2 both during the regular season and here in the playoffs, they want to avoid that.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, if I remember correctly, there will be one slot in Div 1 open and available from the open qualifiers next season. But you don't want to go through that again. You don't want to have to see that, oh, unfortunately, Jan makes a mistake in the back, so it's all down to Marsley to just stop the victory. Keep the gap a little bit wider if possible, but Bozbez looking really clean, and they're going to be able to lower the gap a tiny bit, but 5W are going to be on that 9. They just need a draw at all. It's all going to come down to Orcs if they can ace over and over again until the end, or we're going to be seeing a map 5. But yeah, no, that is one of the things that we didn't really touch upon during the entire tournament today, is that everyone that lost today, you're out. See you next time. You're going to be having to play in the open bracket for the second season of the Dual League. So it's only one team that is going to take a Div 2 spot, or Div 1 spot. Everyone else is out and back in the open qualifiers. And speaking about, Jan is out of this round, and this is not what you want to happen if you are in 5W. You are so close to closing this out, to forcing that game 5, and you put all that pressure onto Marsley, who's currently sitting in P2, but with Tween breathing down his neck, Bozbez starting to extend his lead. It is getting a little scary. Marsley now has to handle the pressure as we go into the final few turns, and we've seen every player make a mistake here at the end in this match. Bozbez doing a good job staying up in front. Tween with a potentially better line than Marsley. It's going to come down to the line, and Marsley is able to just hold on, and that's going to be 5W's point. We are going to map number 5.
And what a way to do it. 5W doing it with a 3-point split. Now, here's the thing. Have they just played right into Orc's hand? You know, we go to Marabella for map number 5. Is this actually the worst thing to happen? Orcs maybe teasing a possible reverse sweep for 5W. I don't know. We'll have to see though. But it is going to be the last map here of promo relegations. Orcs, Numo Ops, 5W. It's going to be Marabella.
The final map of the promo relegations Beacon Duo League Season 1 is underway here on Marabella. Orcs, GP Numops, and 5W duking it out one more time to go into Div 1 for next season. And right off the bat, Tween, unfortunately, makes a mistake on the ice spin. Orcs GP Numops were up 2-0, and 5W is in line for a reverse sweep. It is going to be one heck of a match, Legion.
Yes, it is. We had a bit of a questionable level of skill in the last map, but we talked about, hey, maybe this is Orcs playing the ace and going on to the last map that they are probably the most comfortable being on. But 5W, we have seen just how strong they are here on Marabella, and they are showcasing it with giving Bozbez really no room to make a mistake, as Jan has a very tight inside line there, but it's really not going to matter at the end because he is going to be 0.06 of a second back as Tween made a mistake at the ice turnaround. We have seen a lot of players falter there, regardless of skill or experience.
Oh yeah, 100 times. You know, you can if you put this over a simulator, I feel like over 100 times every player could potentially successfully do it 75% of the time, just because of like how unpredicting ice could be. Unfortunately, as much as you can train it over and over again, when the pressure's on, you're gonna slip and slide, and sometimes it's not in your favor. But this time around, everyone was able to get a good ice slide, get a good exit speed on the turbo, so now they are all in a pack here as Tween leading the pack, Bozbez in P3 and slowly but surely pushing into that P2 position. They are looking for what could be an ace going into this one. Tween actually loses a lot of speed there, so Marsley is going to be climbing back up. Jan as well doing a really good job. We have switched the victory position. It was purple for the victory, but now it's green in the victory position. But Tween may have something to say about it. Jan also really pushing those inside lines. And Tween unfortunately touches, but he's able to recover. And we have seen people make mistakes here in the final two drifts. Oh, Jan can't even get up there. Bozbez trying to find his way on the inside, but Marsley is able to hold the lead, 0.1 lead there. And it's going to be a victory for 5W. They are now rebuilding that momentum as we are slowly but surely creeping towards that track point.
And there's always the threat of overtime. We could see somebody get to map point, and then just by the art of the cards, they find a way to get 10 for both teams. But we still have a long way to go before that happens. The start, though, has gone very, very well. It is, it's really Jan and Boz that got the worst of it, but they're not out of the round at all. Marsley and Tween, though, having an argument over first place. Bozbez will have to take second because Tween completely goes into the wall. Absolutely zero momentum going forward from him.
No.
So he had to respawn. He is out of this round unless all three of these players make some sort of misstep, but that's highly unlikely. It is Bozbez, though, all the pressure on him to try and force a draw here, or at the very least allow 5W to get a victory in the round so he will get a point for his side. but it is looking like that might be the draw coming out. He's got a slightly different line. It is going to be Marsley who drifts one way and the other, but it is not going to give him any extra momentum. So luckily for Tween, he is going to get out of this one with relatively minor scratches as Orcs gets the draw here, 3-4.
Honestly, Bozbez and Tween are just working on their stats, right? They're building the card. They got to get the teamwork number up a little bit, and it's starting to show. Every time one player makes a mistake, the other one does a really good job just kind of recovering for them and forcing a draw. But Orcs are not in a position to continuously draw as 5W still up 1 in the score. Tween, again, making a mistake in the back, clipping the wall. So Jan is going to be in defensive play, letting Marsley go for the attack. Never mind, Jan also is going to be pushing it. Both players are going to be pushing it, but whoever's pushing it, Bozbez is just starting to get away from them. Again, the call was probably made a mistake. Bozbez knows. Turn on the engine, press B for boost, and get up ahead. And he is building this lead over and over again on every single turn, farther and farther away. Jan and Marsley just trying to decide who's going to be the one for the attack. At this point where you're this far behind, you just play it safe and make sure that you can get a draw again. 5W still up in the lead by the score by 1 point. They can't afford to just continuously get draws over and over again, but Bozbez is just going to show them how to play this map as we are wrapping it up towards the end. Great play by Bozbez, a 107.4. That is so close to world record.
That is only a couple of tenths. So that could be an indication of Bozbez's true potential. Maybe being a little conservative on the speed here in Marabella. Now, if Orcs aces here, they'll be on 7. If 5W aces, they'll be on 8. So an ace would be the series point for either team, but of course that is something that you'll have to wait and see if anybody can do such a thing, as we see some really tight lines from these drivers. Every last bit of road that they can get their hands on, they are gonna use. And as we go into the jump, what happened? I think we lost one. Bozbez crashes. It is going to be Marsley as well who crashed, and Marsley's back into this. So Tween now having to hold off both 5W players. He falls behind. Marsley has a bit of an awkward line there through the dirt turn, so he is going to lose some speed. Now, Jan, you just have to hold on. Tween may be quick. Tween's going to touch. Marsley gets back into it. He is going to get the overtake slightly into this drift. He's got it better than Tween, but Tween has a slightly different line. But it's not going to work. Maybe it is. It is Tween. 1/100th of a second at the line. 5W denied the ace. However, 5-7 for 5W. This is series point. If they get this ace, it is over.
That was one heck of a round. Tween showing that I may have fallen, but I'm not out. Being able to squeeze ever so slightly little parts of the track to get him up in front and denying the ace, which is really important. It is only a 2-point lead. A victory will not get them up into a draw, but at least it will get them ever so close as
Bozbez.
Bozbez, unfortunately, making the mistake, though. We are literally passing back and forth the torch on who is going to try to keep Orcs GP Numobs alive in this match. But currently, right now, this is not what you want to see if you are an Orcs fan. Tween is currently falling a little bit behind. He's trying to find any way possible to push up. Jan is now playing in defense mode. Even if Jan falls a little bit behind, that's fine. They could take the victory, go in and have 9 points. But 5W still in P1 and P2. Tween trying to find any way get in there. He's not going to be able to. Jan plays it safe. It's not going to matter for Tween. That's it. Woo!
No,
it's not. It's not. Jan misses. Jan misses. Bozbez wasn't there to capitalize on it, but it doesn't matter. We thought we were done, but we have a nice scoreline now, as we are now in a position for Orcs to go for a double ace to close this one out. 5W just need someone in second place.
Jan, that he was so low on that jump. I don't know if he thought Tween was closer to him than he actually was, but that he full stop. Thankfully, Bozbez had decided to go do a little bit of sightseeing, so he was lucky to be able to walk away with that one with the victory. But for Orcs, they need the ace. They cannot tie. They cannot get a victory. They need to ace, and they need to do it now if they want to keep it going at a 9-9 scoreline, as we have so many tight lines here from all 4 of these players. They know what's on the line. For Orcs, it is the possible demotion from Division 1, and for 5W, they could be promoted to Division 1 with this final round. We are separated by less than a tenth. Tween touches. That's Bozbez in the lead. But this could be it. This could be over and under and out. Bozbez goes wide. Ladies and gentlemen, 5W have taken Orcs GP out of Division 1. They have cast them into the bowels of BDL hell, and they will be in Division number 1 come next season.
All
What
right.
a series.
It worked. I'm wearing this from now on. It worked. I made a joke earlier, but then I said a serious prediction was that 5W was going to win it in Game 5. I called it exactly how it is. I am wearing this from now on because my predictions actually go the way I hope it goes. What a match, though. What a way to finish it. Jan decided to just give us a heart attack, and Babs, are you alive over there? Because
Babs, please, we need you. We need someone grounded. Thank you.
Nope, he's still losing it too.
Okay, I was shaking. I'm not even gonna lie. Like, I was like, oh yeah, 5W. I'm gonna make a prediction, and then throughout the series, I was like, damn, I might be a 5W fan right now. And then I started shaking, and I was just like, oh god, here we go.
Guys, what the hell just happened?
I mean, hold on, am I pointing the right way? Blame that one. Okay, that's his fault.
That's right.
Yes, it is.
It's working now. It's working.
He's the reason we don't have a 5 or a 3-0. So thank you, Randomize. You're a great man.
Yeah,
man, that was an incredible match. Only 3 zeros all day, stomps all the way. 5W look down and out, and then Thriller happens. That push from Jan to get the win on that map. Is that the winning moment of today that gets 5W into Div 1, and then almost lost it with that clip at the end of Marabella? Man, that was a match worthy of a Division 1 spot. And 5W, they've played 4 matches today. That last one probably felt like 4 matches in one.
Oh my god, I
would imagine.
I don't know how either team can be just mentally right now, especially 5W. I'm looking at the bracket right now. 3-0 Damascus, 3-0 Leed Baton, 3-0 Thrive, had to 3-2 Orcs. I can only imagine what that call sounded like, what that voice channel sounded like when they realized they had done it.
Oh man, that was incredible. I mean, luckily we're going to get both players on in just a minute to get their instant reactions after the qualification for Division 1 of BDL Season 2. Jan and Marsley pulled it off. Man, that was a fight. That was a struggle. That was a grind. And Randomized, I hate to say it, but was Tween falling apart at the end there?
Yeah. Tween was definitely falling apart, and then I think it started to affect Bozbez a little bit. Bozbez also started to make some mistakes. There were just so many moments where both players just ended up making mistakes. Ones that you didn't want to see, but they were still able to pull it off as much as they can. We are getting the two of them in, and I can kind of hear them in my ear. They're getting excited. They are cheering and everything. I am excited for them. You know what? We asked a question earlier. Did they win or did the other team lose? I don't care at this point. 5W pulled off the reverse sweep, and it was a beautiful way to pull it off at the end.
Man, we couldn't have hoped for a better grand final of the promo relegation. This one was simmering. It was waiting. It was tantalizingly close all day, but we all expected fireworks in this final match. When it got to map 3 and we saw Thriller and we saw how dominant Orcs GP Numops were, we were wondering, is this going to be, deception? Is this going to be a 3-0 as well? How is this going to happen? And then the complete comeback, the reverse sweep from 5W. Jan and Marsley make it happen and make their way to Division 1. I tell you what, guys, let's not delay it any longer. Let's get Jan and Marsley in here and let's get their instant reactions on the win. Jan and Marsley, you guys did it. You did it the hard way, but you did it.
Oh, I'm so shaking. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
kind of same.
First of all, guys, congratulations. That was a fight. You played, I mean, some incredible games today, and at most of the time, you were on the upper hand. You were dominating. You got a few 3-0s on your way here, but that last match was a struggle. Jan, I want to come to you first. I want to get your reaction because you came up against Boz and Tween. You were down 2-0, and you made that push on the final round on Thriller to win that map. Was that the decisive moment for you?
I think it kind of was, yeah. I saw that we were fully equal, and I was like, okay, honestly, fuck it, just go for it, cause there's nothing we can lose at that point. So, yeah, I think well.
Nothing to lose, but everything to gain. And in the end, yeah, absolutely went all your way. Randomized, do you have anything for these guys?
I generally want to know, you guys, again, you came in with full momentum. As soon as they were up 2-0, what went through both of your minds? We'll start with Marsley. I really want to know what was going through your mind at this point. You were just like, "Oh man, we're steamrolling this tournament," and then all of a sudden, you know, Orcs put a hand up and said, "Slow down." You know, what was, besides the Jan beautiful play, what did you guys do go into map number 3 and be able to turn everything around?
Yeah, first we knew against Boss and Tween it would be our toughest match in the whole league. So yeah, 0-2 against them on Skelear. It was a bit unlucky, I have to say, because yeah, Jan had some slide outs and we definitely could have won the map. But we said, yeah, let's give it our all. We try our best, try to come back. And Mander isn't our strongest map, to say, but it worked out, I guess. So yeah, we had a momentum going. After like 2-2, we were really confident, and I'm still shaking. It's crazy. It's crazy.
It's okay, man. It's okay. That was a great victory. You like, emotions are gonna kick in. You're gonna get excited. I mean, that's the thrill of competition. Jan, what about you? What was going on in your head?
I mean, first of all, of course, I was annoyed that we lost Skelear due to the slide outs, because we should have theoretically, or not should have, but could have won it. And then I was just like, okay, fuck it, just send. Just go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe a bit of less pressure, and then the performances followed. Jan, I do want to come to you again, because I want to look back through this whole season. It has been a long journey for you guys. You were hoping for Division 1 going into open qualifiers. You just missed out on it, and I know you were disappointed to be in Division 2. But after all the struggle, all the effort, all the work, you are going to make your way into Division 1, and you are going to be alongside Marsley. You guys have fought together through this season. How does it feel to officially know that you are going to be competing in Division 1?
Honestly, great.
It
I
feels
can't say
really
much.
great.
It feels really good.
So right from the beginning, when we got Div 2, our main goal was to get into Div 1. We were really motivated, trained hard, and it's so nice it worked out. So don't know what else to say.
Listen, guys, you already had a lot of fans in the Twitch chat, and you've gained a lot more, I think, with your performance across the season. I will give you both a last chance to say anything, any last words, anybody you want to shout out, anybody you want to thank before we let you go. Marsley, shall we start with you?
Yes, thanks to my Gravity guys, thanks to 4W, the guys over there, thanks to us who was playing with me together, and also to Noob Prime. Thanks for your tip on Skelear, the ending. Very much appreciated.
And Jan, any final words?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, thanks to everyone who supported. That means a lot to us. Furthermore, thanks to, honestly, all the Beacon admins. It was really fun. I really enjoyed playing. I hope for next season that's going to be fun as well.
Oh, it's going to be made even more fun.
I also
you guys
supported you. I put
one.
the hat on. I made sure when I made my prediction, I put the tinfoil hat on before I said your names. I did not want to ruin anything with whatever these curses have been coming out of my mouth.
We didn't warn you, but that is not a fashion choice from Randomize. It was a necessary implementation on the broadcast. It can come off now. 5W have made it to Division 1. Guys, a final congratulations. Wendell, well done on all the effort that you've put in. You've made it to Division 1. congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Well, with that, we'll say goodbye to Jan and Marsley. It is going to be time to close out the show. Randomize. I mean, it started off slow, but it ended with a bang.
Yeah. No, it was. I don't want to say it was relatively predictable, but based on how Division 2, excuse me, and how everyone was playing, you know, Damascus Gaming, obviously, as the manager, I got excited to see DG get a second chance, but it was kind of understandable how it was going to start off. It all was going to start off a little bit rough for them, but they were able to work their way through. Everyone was able to work their way through it. If anything, the one thing that was very surprised about was just the fact that we did get 3-0 besides the last match. There were a couple ones where I really thought we were going to see a little bit more than a 3-0. I thought the 5W LGB game would have at least been a 3-1, but it didn't happen. I don't know. I mean, Legion, did you also expect a 3-0 across the boards until the end?
Honestly, no. I think... kind of. I don't know. Because on one side of it is 5W having to run through the lower bracket with what seemed like really no issue. I think that having as many 3-0s wasn't the most surprising because of 5W's sort of just chokehold on Division 2. But, I mean, I would have expected at least 2 games, not 3 or 4. So, that's a lot. That's a lot of 3-0s, more than I'm used to.
Well, I mean, it was a lot of 3-0s. It was almost a 3-0 in that final match. I think I will remember that Jan push for a while to come. But at the end of the day, it is 5W who are going to clinch that Division 1 spot for Season 2. Thrive and OSERV will be relegated, demoted to the open qualifiers for the next season alongside the rest of Division 2. Randomize and Legion, I want to thank you both for joining me, and Boney earlier in the day as well. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, remember this is not the end of the Beacon Duo League. Tomorrow we have the Division 1 playoff, the top 6 teams of the competition. No, what you saw today, that was not the best of the best. The best of the best is still yet to come, starting tomorrow at 2 p.m. CEST, and we will see you right here on the Beacon channel.